Hello, everybody. Brad's still polishing his glasses in preparation. Come on. Welcome to the Craft Beer Channel Christmas live show. Bradley, I've got some good news.
Oh, well, that's what we need in the world. Some good news.
I have recovered from my case of tinselitis.
But
unfortunately,
go on.
I now have a serious case of bubonic plague.
I don't like it as much as tinselitis. It sounds way more deadly.
I'm coming up in boar boils.
Boar boils, eh?
And my lactose have fallen off. Come on.
Oh my God. It's almost as if you've spent ages trying to work beer-themed things into the equation. Your lactose are coming off.
Yeah, because of the bubonic.
Oh my God.
Plague. Oh my God. Do you know what? I was umming and ahhing about starting it this way, and I got it wrong in the end. I got it wrong.
I feel like apparently you can't stand up if you haven't got big toes, right? This is a thing, supposedly.
Okay, we've gone there already. Really?
Apparently, yeah. You can lose other toes, fine, but big toes is a big problem for standing upright, I believe.
There must be people standing with, like, do you get like a bionic toe?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like if you were to suddenly lose a big toe, you put there's a lot of stuff going on with a big Tony.
Right. Okay, well, I'm glad we've cleared that up. Welcome to the Craft Beer Channel Christmas show. I'm going to get a beer in the glass. Everybody else should as well. We're starting with Juice Forsyth.
Great. I love a bit of juicy, Brucey Forsyth.
Brucey. Have you been watching Strictly? It's a festive tradition in my household.
I can't say that I have. I saw Matt Goss was on it, and I do like that man's hats that he wears. And the Bros documentary is incredible. If anyone hasn't seen it, I think it's on Netflix at the moment. It's called After the Screaming Stops or After the Music Stops. It's amazing.
But it's largely at his expense, though, right?
No, I think it's genuinely. I mean, it is. Yeah, they both say some stupid shit, but it's genuinely life affirming, and they come across as quite lovable, I think. And they're, it's Christmas time, right? We've all got to get along. And they're a family that sort of like don't quite get along. So it all, maybe it resolves in them with a big concert happening where they play their shit music, Johnny.
This sounds like a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Pretty much. I mean,
maybe it's a Christmas movie.
Christmas movie. Be a weird movie, just two identical people in love, hate with each other. Very bizarre. But yeah, probably a Hallmark movie, yeah.
Yeah, could be. Right, everybody, welcome. I feel like I have to keep restarting this because we're tangenting and we've only been live about 5 minutes. Nice depth of field there, Bradley. So yeah, we do this live show every single year, and we have done for the last couple of years. It is one of our favorite events of the year, and we are so delighted to hear so many boxes were bought and so many of you are joining in. We're going to be joined by the Brew York guys in just a couple of minutes, but before they join us, we're going to get some, not house rules, something more Christmassy than that, festive rules, and how the evening generally works. So we've got 6 beers to taste through. A couple of people will have slightly different beers because we ran out of stock. It was that popular. But we will be talking you through those beers as well. Don't worry. Essentially, other than that, just enjoy yourselves. We've got this little ticker at the bottom that's going to tell you exactly what's going on. This is the drink order for tonight. I've abbreviated them so you can't see all of the puns, but we will also be asking about the puns. Throughout the night, the comment section will get hectic. If you want to cut through the noise, you can do a super chat or a juicy bonus.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. I'm full of them tonight. Don't you worry. So super chat, you can give us a little donation and you will get your question answered at the very next available opportunity. We won't cut somebody off mid-flow, but we will come to you as quickly as possible. Or you could just give a shout out to us, to your friends, to your cat. Is your cat going to make an appearance at some point, Bradley?
I've locked her out and she's in a bit of a mood. So if I hear scratching at the door, or shall I say coming down the chimney,
Yeah, nice.
Then I will crack out the mince pies and
And call the RSPCA.
We call it RSPCA. And if we had some milk, some milky lactose stout, have we got one? No. Hang on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I crack out the milk stout and mince pies. There you go. We've only got to wait another 2 drinks for that to happen. So hopefully,
well, there's another one at the end as well. So don't worry. If she misses that moment, Jeff will have her time to shine. This year, we're going to do it a little bit differently with Super Chats. To say thank you to everybody that does give a Super Chat, we've got a little prize draw. So anybody that does a Super Chat tonight will be in the running to win. Get ready with your best generation game oohs and ahs, Bradley.
Mate,
that's not an ooh or an ah. What was that? Oh, it's a drum roll. Oh, I've got the beer cooler backwards, Bradley. I've prepped this so carefully. And then
that is a cool beer cooler. The Husky.
So what it's essentially a lowbroy prize.
Yeah.
We've got the amazing beer cooler, our favorite koozie, that is absolutely amazing. We've got the cap goose from our rather amazing gadget video. We've got Beer School, our first ever book that we signed, and then we've also got the beer belt. It's padding. It's padding that bit, if I'm honest.
It's good. No, it's good. We've decided it's great for Glastonbury, where you're actually allowed to take beers into the arena. So It's perfect. If you've got a Glastonbury ticket, it's what you need. We've already had a super chat.
Nice. Amazing. to drink you. Nice. Strong.
Brucey bonus for you, Doc Danigan.
You've entered our prize draw and you've got in there early with a gag that, you know, we need to pantomime boo anybody else that does a Bruce Forsyth gag. Including myself, because I'm going to do some more. Thank you very much for your super chat. Let's dig into the comments. Let's see who's here. Hi, here for the Brew York guys. That's fair. Long-time subscribers to their beer club. What is super chat? If you look, you can find a super chat button where you can give a little bit of money to get your question answered immediately. Andy Higginbottom's mocking you, Bradley.
Oh, what? I mean, Andy, I knew we had a milk stout. I was just, doing a bit of meandering. Yeah, that's what I do.
Playing along. People are enjoying the puns. There's going to be lots of this
stuff.
Where's everybody from? Yeah, do let us know what you're drinking, whether it's Brew York stuff or not, and let us know where you're drinking from as well. So we've got Israel,
Belarus.
Belarus.
Yeah, Belarus.
All kinds of places. So yeah, let us know what you're drinking and where you're from. Oh my God, more super chats. This is happening. Where are we? Josh Meller. Merry Christmas. Very Merry Christmas to you too, Josh.
Man.
I gather you can't join our feed tonight. Josh he's been on the Craft Beer channel, in fact. He is a guest. Sadly, he's working the night shift. But thank you very much for your super chat nonetheless. And Matt Summer, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you very much indeed, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Merry Christmas. Merry
Christmas. We've got South Africa in the house.
Hey.
We've got Norway.
Wow, cool.
Somebody drinking a Track Dipper. Oh, no, Verdun Dipper. Track Dipper was the comment above. So people are starting the night strong, hey?
Someone from Germany there as well. Someone from Denmark.
Oh, my God, I literally cannot keep up. Luxembourg.
Wow.
Stoke. I hitchhiked in Stoke once. Newburgh, New York, half an hour from Equilibrium, 20 minutes from Hudson Valley. Another lactose-loving brewery. Germany. There we go. And, of course, South London. Can't be far from you, Bradley.
No, that's Jen, I think the partner of Ben, Filmbusters.
Thought you were about to dox them then. Like, well, I believe the address is...
No. Wow, there's people from everywhere, man. This is quite amazing. Birmingham. Wow.
Birmingham.
Hello, Jack. I'm he's from near Bristol. Croydon, centre of the universe. The Cronks, as they're calling it. The estate agents are calling it these days.
We've got somebody from York.
Hey.
Who maybe has a channel. If you have a channel, subscribe to Sam Drinks Beer Reviews.
Nice.
Right. Well, I mean, we could do this all night. We might, we might just keep going. I mean, we've got Slovakia's just rolled in. Amazing.
Vienna. We already. Oh, Brussels. Sorry, Canada, Vancouver, Canada.
Wonderful.
Man,
This is
Florida. So many. Johnny, California. Noon. What? Noon in California.
Wait,
Noon.
is it noon or is it? Because it could be noon. Oh yeah, it's noon in California. What should I pop?
Right. I was hoping it was a place called Noon. That's a film, isn't it?
There probably is.
Be a good film.
Crack a dipper. That seems to be what people are drinking in the comments. It's noon. It's the afternoon now.
As long as you're not operating heavy machinery or driving junk, 09.
Right. Well, I think it's time that we welcome the guys to the stream. So we're going to be joined by nothing less than the founders of Brew York, Lee and Wayne. Are you getting ready to applaud, Bradley, or are we going to do a?
I'm just sort of using my hands to speak because I'm letting you speak.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Just before we do welcome them, thank you, Adrian Kirk. Surely it's a super match chat.
Do what? Super match chat. Super match chat. Is that a football type thing? Super match chat.
I have been told we're clashing with an important football game.
Oh Christ! Should I understand? Should I know that? Is that really a thing? I thought it was over. Football was over.
Football's not over, Brad. Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely over for the year, right? I hate football.
No. The World Cup was a mere intermission of the normal services.
Have you seen that tattoo of Messi kissing the World Cup? That's flying about the trophy. Have you seen it?
No.
Terrible. It's shocking. You can Google it at your own leisure, but it doesn't look like he's kissing a World Cup trophy. It looks like something else.
Oh right, okay. Maybe I will Google that, but not live on a stream. Thank you very much, Junko9. Let's get the Brew York guys on before this spirals out of control. So please welcome to the stream. Bradley, get your hands ready. Lee and Wayne of Brew York. Hey, hands are ready.
I feel like it's nice to see you. Nice.
There it is. Boo. Are we booing? I can't remember. Welcome to.
I guess we should probably introduce which one's which because we.
Oh fuck!
Bradley, what are you doing?
We've been lost.
I just removed them from the stream. They're back. I'm magic. Sorry about that.
One is Brucey Poses. We were wiped out, but I think we're back now. So I was just going to say we always get muddled up for each other anyway, so it doesn't matter which way round you call us. But I'm Wayne
and I'm Lee.
So thanks for having us.
Okay, I reckon that went in one ear, and we'll see if it comes out the other. Hey.
Especially with all the stouts and imperial stuff we're going to be drinking in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I might not know my name by the end of this, to be honest. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for teaming up with us for this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having us. I can't believe how popular the gift set was, the drink-along boxes.
Hey, we
have a lot of fun.
That much lactose in a cardboard box.
Exactly. And hopefully they all made their way to the customers in time, and the boxes held their strength from all this weather that's been going on and the travel chaos.
And there was so much lactose in those boxes. They were delivered by the milkman, right?
And intercepted by your cat, apparently.
The little birdie tells me that you drank a beer last night and said you've never enjoyed an IPA that contains lactose. So let's see if that's still true after this beer.
Do you know, when I was editing that last week, I was like, oh, that's bad timing to be smack talking lactose IPAs. But I kept it in. I stand by it. Well, tell us about this beer, and then I'll tell you everything that's wrong with it. I'm joking.
It's a lactose IPA.
So it's a fruited IPA. So an IPA produced in the same way using Citra Mosaic hops. And then we've added 3 different types of fruit, so pineapple, passion fruit, and mango. And what tends to happen with fermentation of fruit is that you lose the sweetness. So it kind of tastes like the fruit, but it doesn't taste exactly like the fruit. So we use lactose to replace the sweetness, so it still retains that character that you remember of the fruit. And the lactose also contributes a certain level of creaminess to the beer. And with it being unfermentable, it also makes it a little bit sweeter. Yeah. And originally, the beer used to be a session IPA. But we felt we'd come up with a great brand, we'd come up with a great name, but we didn't think the beer stood up to being called Juice Forsyth. So we brought it back for a second incarnation, and that's when it became a fruited IPA. So kind of like what happened with Neck Oil for Beavertown, used to be a bitter, eventually became a session IPA. This started out as a session IPA and became a fruited IPA.
What do you think, Bradley?
I like the idea of a second incarnation. Beer's beautiful. It's so juicy, mangoey. I get like a kind of peachy thing going on as well. It's wonderful, and it's pineapple-y as well. It's like a juicy, slightly milky, sugary explosion in my mouth. I love it. It's great. I'm not sure I pair it with mince pie though, Johnny. What about you?
It's not. No, mince pies are staying in their pack for now.
This is actually quite a strange beer for us because we love it. We drink a fair bit of it. Most of us tend to get this as our staff box each month, take it home. It's a nice sessionable beer to have in the fridge. But we didn't think that. Well, if we were to go back pre-COVID and all the terrible things that happened then, but how much our brewery changed. This is now our biggest selling beer by a hell of a long way. So this is our equivalent to your Northern Monk Faith or your I can't think of any other quick examples off the top of my head. Jaipur, yeah. So we sell more of this beer than any other beer in our repertoire. We have a relatively large repertoire now. But yeah, it's something we enjoy quite a lot, and we've got some exciting things happening with this beer this year. So we've got a vegan version we're about to launch in early February. January. January. So January. So we're bringing it out a non-lactose version. So hopefully, anyone out there who can't enjoy this current version will be able to taste the beer and see what they think of it. And then we've got a few other iterations coming out later in the year. It's usually Lee who does all the spoilers when we have a few beers. So I'll bite my tongue a little bit, but we've got some pretty cool variants of Juice Foresight coming up later in the year.
Yeah, well, if we drink too much, as we're likely to do in this session, and someone reminds us later on, maybe we'll let more than that out of the bag.
Are you going to base? Are they going to be puns on Cat Dealey and
Ant and Deck? Oh no,
Ant and Deck.
Cat Dealey Association, nothing to do with Bruce Forsyth. It was just my
wait, Cat. Who?
Tess Daly, I think you're thinking of.
Daly, that's embarrassing. Yeah. Tess Daly, not
Claudia
Cat Daly.
Yeah,
Claudia Winkleman. I got a hug from her this year, so I should have remembered her.
We're being asked for the drinking order, Johnny.
I've put it up. Don't worry. I'm on it.
Okay.
I'm hot and I'm on it. How are you veganizing it? Is there a lactose replacement, or is it a different?
Yes. So we're bringing in maltodextrin instead of the lactose, and maltodextrin is what you would make candy floss with. It's another form of unfermentable sugar, long chain sugar. So it doesn't do quite the same. It doesn't introduce that kind of creaminess. So what we found is it's a slightly sharper drink. So the passion fruit that we use in this is somewhat masked by the lactose. We're finding in the vegan version it's not quite so masked. So it's a little bit sharper. So the fruit is coming through in a slightly different way, but it's still great. It's just not exactly the same as this.
Yep. Cool. Well, I mean, that means that non-vegans might want to try it as well and see how the beer presents in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I just tried the recommended pairing, which is it the Parmesan trees? I don't know where this food pairing came from. Was it?
It's Pete.
That's from your side. Yeah.
Don't blame
me.
No, it was suggested we should identify some things to pair. Peter's then picked them.
All right. I'm not complaining.
So we've got Parmesan and rosemary Christmas trees.
We've also got a lot of other snacks hidden under this table, which are going to keep us full for the whole tasting.
Those look like fancy Christmas trees.
Where are they from? They sound delicious. Where would we buy these Parmesan Christmas trees?
And also they double as earrings if you run out of an earring for that.
You do that often?
Yeah.
That would have been very fetching. I think it's a delicious beer as well, to be fair, despite my proclamations last week. I think it's nicely balanced. I agree with... actually, when we did our homebrew collaboration with Cloudwater and we talked about what the finishing gravity should be on a double IPA, and Paul Jones was like, it needs to be high, because otherwise, like you said, the fruitiness you're going to get, in that case, from the hops, feels almost synthetic because it's not backed up by the sweetness in the body that we expect from those fruits. So yeah, there's logic. It's tasty. And maybe I can be persuaded that lactose can be in an IPA. I think my main issue with it is when they then whack the bitterness up still as well. That's when it starts to be a bit strange for me. Whereas this is, I don't know, what, 20, 25-ish. It's quite mellow.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. I liked what Track did with their Gold Top, was it? The lactose-containing dipper. I thought that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I would mostly agree for lactose in non-fruit beers, though.
We used to have one of the guys in our sales team who was very in love with lactose. It didn't influence the way that we brewed, but he did always say to us he wanted us to make a lactose lager at some point, which is something we've steered away from.
Yeah, even we have our limits. I think nobody.
I appreciate those limits.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, we'd love to hear what people think in the comments. So do let us know. We've had a couple of people saying that it's absolutely delicious. We've also had a question from Adrian Kirk, who asks the question I knew was coming.
Who comes up with all the beer? So, that is probably the question we are most frequently asked. The answer has changed over time. Back in the day, it would have been myself or Wayne. But we're relieved, quite frankly, to be able to depend on our team. And we have an internal communication tool. So we'll say we've come up with this fruited IPA. And then people will come up with some suggestions of what we should call it. And whoever comes up with the selection that we choose gets a free case of that beer once we package it. And we've had some fantastic ideas that way. Sam, our export manager, her and her wife, I think they spend their Saturday evenings coming up with ideas. So they're a very rich vein of ideas.
Yeah, they always come up with some good ones, don't they?
But the problem is now that because we've done a few puns, we can't get suggestions from anyone that is not pun-based. Everything we get suggested is puns. And I can't say we don't enjoy that. We love the hilarity, hence we sat here in a stupid Pickle Rick jumper. But it would be nice if every now and again we did a beer with a sensible name. Or is that too much?
Well, we've made our bed now. We kind of have to lay in it, don't we? So,
well, can you tell us a style of beer you've got coming, and maybe the comments can come up with a non-pun based name for it?
Okay. But what have we not named yet?
Pete's our marketing manager's sat behind the camera at the moment, and he's probably got a few beers that we need some names for. So we'll get him to send a message onto the thread and see if anyone has some ideas.
Sounds good.
But it's, everything for the next sort of 3-4 months out is already kind of done and named.
Yeah, and that's super organised for us. Usually, it's very. So when we, if you go back to pre-COVID, when we were, I guess, focusing on core beer and brewing the occasional special, it was a lot more organised and structured to how we were bringing beers out. And then we got a bit of mayhem when things went into lockdown. We had to do what we could to try and keep people interested and bring beers out. We're bringing in almost 2 beers out a week. It was a crazy time for us. It was great because kind of the shackles were off for the brewers. So Lee in particular got to come up with loads of different ideas that he'd always held back on. And we got to brew lots of different things. So we had to come up with lots of names. We had to come up with lots of branding. We had to come up with lots of ways to let people know about the beers. So it was a bit chaotic to say the least. And we tried to be more and more organised, but it's taken us 2 years to get any sort of organisation there. And this year, we're finally going into the year with a good vision of what we're going to be brewing and when we're going to be brewing it. So we're actually super organised this time round. The 3 months ahead of us is organised for us. So.
It's probably true around the UK at the moment as people professionalise and get on top of these things. Craft beer has been tripping over its own feet for many, many years, and it's great to hear that some people are managing to get on top of it now.
That's so true.
Are you guys moving on to the next beer, or was that just you showing up?
I'm ready for the next one. While we get it in the glass, which is, for those at home, it's going to be Nanook. And another question which came up, because some people enjoyed Judy Quench. I may have dreamt this, but didn't Judy Dench actually get a can and drink it?
Yeah.
She did.
How did that come about?
Well, my sister works with her nephew. So, courtesy of that, we were able to get the beer to her. So she was able to enjoy it initially and said she liked it, and actually said sod the champagne and was going to drink the beer instead. But then she got a second opportunity to drink it because the BBC contacted us and said, we're going to have Dame Judy on. Do you have any of the beer? Because we'd like to serve it to her on the show. And we didn't because we'd sold out. So we had to go and buy some of that back from our customers to then send to the BBC. And then it was amazing to see Graham Norton open up a hazy beer and wonder what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And then serve it to Dame Judy. Hugh Grant was on. Matthew McConaughey's here.
Oh my God.
Was on. Judith. No. Actress singer from the US.
Isn't it Beverly Knight?
No, it wasn't Beverly Knight.
No, it was
Judy or Judith something.
No, you're going to look stupid now because we can't remember.
And Chris Martin from Coldplay. And yeah, anyway. So all of those got to drink our beer. So that was quite a thing. And they actually resulted in a second beer because we then did a beer called Matthew McConaughey's, which is why I slipped up in saying his name. We did that later on as a tribute to him and the film he was in called Dazed and Confused, if you remember that one.
That is absolutely amazing. What's not amazing is the names coming through. Andy from Elusive.
Hi, Andy.
You're not sorry, Andy, are you? You're not sorry at all.
Hashtag Bipper comeback, Andy.
I saw Wookie Jack's back, Andy. I hope you're happy. Not forever because it's never going to happen. But
we were just talking about one of Elusive beers before we came on stream because you've got a mince pie barley wine out. So we were just that sounds pretty nice. Bit early for us for the barley wine. We've got all these to get through first, but would have been nice to finish on one.
I think that person who was starting drinking at noon, I think that would have been perfect for them.
Could have been. Right, okay, we'll keep flashing up names as and when we enjoy them, but let's get on to beer number 2, which is Nanook. It's a cold IPA. Tell us what a cold IPA is and what your recipe is, guys.
So cold IPA is a new style out of the US. I say new, maybe sort of 12, 18 months old. And it's to create a West Coast style IPA using lager yeast. So you can ferment it warm, you can ferment it cold. We've actually gone slightly warmer with the fermentation. And it's not to be confused with what you might call either an India Pale Ale or an India Hop Lager. So what they are is lagers that are then dry hopped, but they're dry hopped quite delicately. And they tend to use hops that have more of a delicate nature. So you would often see like New Zealand type hops used in a India Pale Lager. So what we've done actually with this one is use some New Zealand hops. So we've got Nectaron and Motueka, I believe, in this particular one. But the key defining characteristic of this style is it's supposed to have a decent level of bitterness as well. So I think this is a little bit softer than the first cold IPA that we did. But yeah, it's supposed to have the kind of clean, crisp, bright character of the lager, but then the kind of sharp bitterness of the West Coast, and then the big fruity floral characteristic, typically of the more kind of resinous hops, but with this particular one, the more fruity type hops. Nectaron being kind of nectarine-like, stone fruit, and Motueka is supposed to have like a citrusy, limey-like character, which goes really well with lager-style beers.
So it's only the second cold IPA we've brewed. We did one probably 9 months ago, if not a little longer. And that was probably one of my favourite beers we brewed this year. It was just really nice West Coast style pale, but like Lee said, with the lager yeast, it was really crisp and clean, and just really enjoyable. We're huge fans of West Coast style beers. Probably why we like Andy from Elusive so much. But yeah, it's a style that we tend to go to. But most of the UK market in particular tend to prefer more East Coast hazies these days. So we kind of do a bit of both, but our heart's really in the West Coast.
Yeah, and I'm my own worst critic, so I'm going to be honest on this one. This needs to be more bitter. I don't think there's enough bitterness in here. I would like to see the level on that go up a little bit. But I say that about most things, to be fair. I just love bitterness.
I say exactly the same thing all the time. We give feedback to a lot of brewers when they send us beer, and I'd say not one brewery gets a pass on bitterness. Like it's almost universally undercooked.
Apart from Andy, Elusive, Oregon Trail, best
Andy gets it up there. Yeah.
West Coast.
Brewer of the Year, according to the British Guild of Beer Writers.
Indeed.
Yeah. this beer is cracking. I think it's absolutely great. What I really love about it is the Nectaron because
sorry, Johnny, did somebody else win an award there?
Don't know what you're talking about. I just I should have been drinking from this. There he is. There you go. Yeah, we had a good night too. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's completely gone.
That's thrown you now.
What I really like about this beer is, so I poured it into the glass that obviously had Juice Forsyth in it. Forgot to rinse it in between, and I was like, "Oh, I'm picking up some of the fruitiness from the juice." So I drank from the can, and it still had a kind of peachy nectarine kind of thing. So it's got a really nice character from that Nectaron, and lemon and lime from the Motueka, while being really dry. And I was literally thinking a little bit more bitterness, and that would be perfection for me. I think it's really, really great.
The old glass was this is our only non-lactose beer, I think. So you were trying to get a bit of lactose from the glass to make sure you had a full lactose.
Exactly.
Beer.
Wanted my lactose lager.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, there it is.
But yeah, we did. The first one we did was called Kairaku, the cold IPA, and it was a giant penguin. It was quite funny because when we brought the beer out, the only thing Lee was obsessed about was the beady little eyes on the penguin that was being extinct for hundreds of thousands of years. So he was telling us that the branding guys, the eyes are wrong. The eyes are wrong. like we've seen one and we know what the eyes look like.
Yeah, well, I'm very particular for detail, and that applies to branding as well to beer.
And to penguins.
Yeah, exactly.
Prehistoric penguins, apparently, yes.
You're a penguin fan? Penguin fanatic?
No, he likes the biscuits.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't mind Pingu back in the day.
But how big is a Kairaku compared to?
I think it was about 5 feet tall, something like that. It was like the biggest penguin that ever lived.
So you could get a really good hug off of it.
Good hug, yeah.
Yeah, really good hug.
Wow, amazing. And then they might try and eat you, probably.
Yeah, they did look like they had very sharp teeth, to be honest.
Oh, we haven't mentioned yet about this beer. It was actually a collaboration. So it was a collab we brewed with Big Smoke. Jen and Nick from Big Smoke came up to brew with us about 6 or 7 weeks ago now, probably a bit longer than that. And we were down in London visiting those guys and brewing the return leg of the collab 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's in Esher?
It's Escher because it's like the artist that does the weird inverted stairs thing.
So it was good to welcome those guys up to brew with us, and I'm excited to see what the beer turns out that we brewed with those guys. It's a imperial stout. It was a chocolate imperial stout. So
it's always nice to see Jen because Jen has quite the pedigree in the industry, having worked at the likes of Meantime, Dark Star, Beavertown, but back just after she qualified, the first brewery she worked in was York Brewing. So she was one of the brewers in the original craft brewery in York. Since defunct is, I don't know if that's the right word. Got bought out by Black Sheep. They no longer brew in the city. So it's always nice to see Jen and to bring her back to York and kind of reminisce about her times when she was back here.
And Alan, one of our brewers, he looks after quality control and does cask brewing for us in our original city centre site. So Alan used to work with Jen back in York Brewery a long time ago. So that was a nice surprise when she came up to site and bumped into Alan and reminisced about old times.
So it's a small world brewing, really, isn't it? Particularly on the production side.
It's a really nice small world as well because there's not many industries that you're lucky enough to go and interact with other breweries and actually help each other out and don't worry about the competition. You don't worry about helping the other brewery sell beer or take sales. You're worried about us as a collaborative group of people selling more beer than macro breweries and trying to encourage people to drink beer that everyone's got passion about and actually tries hard and cares about really.
So we've had a question which maybe Lee or Wayne you might be able to answer.
They can't open the wrappers.
Hey! Hey.
It didn't.
I was trying to be
It's been a pleasure. Let's end the night right there because that is as good as we're gonna get.
I've got an
selection for that. I was thinking maybe it was an Antarctica thing, but no, it's that. Right, okay.
Cracker jokes and dad jokes, my specialty.
I have to say that was better than your intro jokes, Johnny.
I'm just gonna boot you off now. That's.
Tinselitis.
I mean, the tinselitis one is strong. Come on.
It went downhill after tinselitis.
I like Bourbonic. I've got an interesting fact about penguins. That are very
Go on, I'm putting you full screen for this.
Okay, so penguins may be extraterrestrials because in their excretions in their poo that are chemicals only previously found on Venus, apparently. Right, other side of the solar system. You can Google it. I've read about this. It's
one read about such a thing, Brad.
I don't know where they're eating something under the ocean, maybe like something that's
Brad. Just because you can Google it,
no. I
doesn't
didn't
mean
Google
it's true.
I read about it. It's in a scientific paper. I read about this ages ago. Pretty sure I haven't made it up.
Okay, Brad, you're leading this while I just Google are penguins aliens?
Go on. Said why they don't get eaten by polar bears because they're friggin' aliens. That's why.
So the first result I got is from the Daily Star.
Oh dear.
And even they've put it in air quotes. Penguins may be aliens.
Well, I'm telling you, I read something about excretions and them being from the other side of the solar system.
Yeah, don't Google that, Johnny.
Come on.
When the stream started, it was a good job we weren't on camera because one of the first things Lee did was test if he could stand up without using his big toes. So
turns out you can.
Did he fall over?
I stood up.
He didn't let me cut them off though to do a real experiment. So
Life finds a way. That's all I'm saying.
Whoa, right. Well, I mean, this has gone exactly as I expected it to go.
We didn't mention that we're going up in strength, did we? So we started at 5% with Juice Foresight. We're going up to 5.7 now. So is the whole session? Is that the plan?
No, we're 4.3 on the next one.
We're dipping, going into the session territory again.
Yeah. I think nothing can compete with Don Coco, even massive amounts of booze.
Well, we're Empress Don Coco. We bring that out every January. That's and it's not a penguin one this time. It's 10.3%. Is that right? Or 10.8?
10.6.
Yeah, that number as well. 10.6%. We usually bring the Empress version out, which is much stronger, and then we do a couple of barrel age variants. So this year we've got 3 different barrels we've aged it in, and for the first time ever, we've aged it in a rum barrel. So I'm pretty excited to try that one because the guys at Siren do amazing barrel aged beers. So the ones they've done have been really good. So hopefully ours will replicate the tastes that they get into their beer, the Caribbean chocolate cake in particular.
And you guys you're doing your barrel tasting tomorrow, like of everything that's in barrel to plan what's releasable.
So every 6 months ago, we drill into a few barrels, take out some samples, check that they're performing as we would hope they would be, see if they need to stay in barrel longer, see if they would be best eventually dispensed as a unique barrel or blended into something else. And tomorrow we thought a great way to end our kind of production year would be to get people from across the whole team together. And we're going to be sampling, I think, 9 different barrels tomorrow, 7 different types of beer, aged in 9 different types of barrel. So yeah, we've all had to make different travel arrangements for getting home tomorrow. Because yes, we will not be best.
I imagine it'll be interesting as well because we're opening the tap room. So this is in we're in the production facility where we are now. We have a smaller tap room, and it gets quite busy on a Friday after people clock off from work. And we'll be sat in the corner drinking, like drilling into these barrels and tasting all this barrel aged beer, while the customers are just thinking, "Can I do that? When these guys go, can I just go drill into that barrel and give it a go?" We'll have to get the bar team set up to slap some wrists if they go anywhere near the barrels.
Yeah, well, to explain, the wall that divides our tap room to the rest of the storage space is a wall of maturing barrels.
Right.
That's why the customers might have free access to that, and that was not an invitation. By the way.
You know, not got people just sort of siphoning, standing against the barrels, just.
Popping their beer up.
Are you going to be looking to blend those barrels, or are they sort of going to be single releases, or you don't know yet? That's the point.
It depends. It depends. Some of them are good enough to stand up on their own. Something like Empress, what we actually do is we take some of the fresh beer and we blend it with some of the aged beer, because the coconut in particular becomes quite muted with the aging. So it's nice to bring in some of the fresh coconut character again. And to get the fresh coconut alongside the barrel is great. And we've done bourbon and we've done various other things before, but we've never done rum. And what could work better than coconut and rum? As we know from Malibu.
Malibu.
Just to dive into the comments for a bit before we move on to the next beer in a couple of minutes' time. Where's it gone? We've got lots of people suggesting beer names at you that aren't puns, but are based on what we've been saying. Standing without big toes.
The lack
It's very Cloudwater, that, isn't it?
The lack of toes. That's good.
The lack of toes. Oh my God. Yes. We will collab with you on that. Non-lactose something.
Lactose.
We've got an amazing.
You get that? That was good.
Yeah. Brad's brought it out.
Yes.
There was another one and I can't find it. I'll keep searching. We've also had a question from Andy Higginbottom. Guys, what are your hangover cures?
So I'm relatively lucky in that if I stick to beer, I don't tend to get a hangover, even strong beer, as long as I get a decent night's sleep. So my hangover cure is if you own your own brewery, you can come to work when you want and you can sleep it off.
So I mean, where to endear yourself to people?
Lead by example.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Power through for you.
Well, power through for me, and it kind of fits with my lactose obsession. I'm a sucker for a McDonald's milkshake, if I'm honest.
Chicken.
Right, okay.
He finishes the night with yummy chicken, the best chicken house in York, and he starts the morning with yummy chicken, what he didn't eat the night before.
That is true, much to the chagrin of my wife, who's sick of picking it out of the sofa.
What about you guys? Have you got some hangover cure tips?
Did you say a McDonald's milkshake? Which flavour are we talking?
I just like the plain old vanilla, I'm afraid. What about you?
Banana.
Straws. Straws all the way.
Straws was my favourite until I realised that the banana is superior.
If not vanilla, I would go banana, but no, they're never strawberry though.
And the other thing that I've tried before, which works really well, is the double sausage and egg McMuffin. You can then customise it. You can add an extra sausage patty, an extra egg, some bacon, the cheese, and then when they serve it to you, you rearrange it. You make like a proper stack of it. It's immense. It's probably going to kill you in a few years, but it's so good.
Might help the hangover.
Yeah.
I've never found a hangover cure that worked. I get horrific hangovers, which I think is largely responsible for how I do what I do. Because if I didn't get hangovers, I'd probably be dead by now. But I have to self-moderate quite hard. Brad's seen me on bad hangover days, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite old now, but when I was younger, I didn't get hangovers at all. And I'm significantly older than Johnny. And when, over the years, when we've been away doing various sort of filming things over a period of time, Johnny suffers very much in the mornings. And I was sort of looked on with surprise. But now I think I'm right there along with you in the suffering.
You see where
hangovers that last for several days now, which is really, really bad. That is not good.
You two have obviously done lots of beer festivals. What is it you see us brewers drinking at beer festivals the day after? So it's usually one of two things.
Lager. The day after.
Yeah. So what would you see us drinking quite early on the day after to get ourselves going again?
Schofferhofer.
Yeah.
Schofferhofer. There you go.
We've got a can of the Vault City collab they did with Mash Gang called the Schoff. And it's
I saw that, yeah. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen, but go on.
It's usually us who are treading the fine line between getting sued. So,
And if not a Schofferhofer, if North are pouring at the beer festival, The guys there do an amazing Bloody Mary.
It's always really good.
Is that for the punters or that's just for the brewers? They're like,
No,
for the brewery
just for us to get us going
right.
again.
Oh, I've never had a Bloody Mary at North. I'll have to hit them up next time.
Definitely. It's always a good start.
Oh, what was the things I was having at Leeds? Verdita?
Oh, Verdita. It's like a good shot.
I don't know how I got to the age of 44 and never having had these things before, but they are incredible. Have you had them?
What are they?
Verdita, is that right? Have I got that
Verdita.
right?
It's
Verdita.
What do you make?
It's kind of green and like.
What do you make pesto out of? Is it basil?
Basil.
It's got basil in it.
It's basil, tequila, and I can't remember what else is in it. And you have it as a shot. You usually have it at a night time. So if you were drinking it during the day.
No, if Andy's still on, he and I were drinking them at Leeds International Beer Festival this year.
So it's only a matter of time before somebody releases a beer that's flavoured like that.
I think they've already done it. I think Kirkstall will have already done it. I can't remember.
Kirkstall definitely have one called something like that, yeah.
Cool. Right. Well, that was educational. I did enjoy. I think I flashed it up. Somebody said you need to stir an espresso through your McDonald's vanilla ice cream.
100%.
Milkshake. That sounds amazing.
I was going to say something very similar. So we were in Finland at a beer festival in the summer, and I felt awful the next day. We drank a little bit too much. Andy said about the tequila Verditas.
Oh, yeah.
I felt awful the next day, and there was a coffee vendor there doing their freshly ground coffee. And I couldn't quite face the coffee, but they did a cold brew. They gave me a cold brew coffee, and all of a sudden I was human again. Really, really, I think it must be my lactose addiction. It got me perked up again and ready to go. So, yeah, cold brew coffee.
I like the idea that for you, it's not alcohol withdrawal that gives you the hangover. it's lactose withdrawal. You're like, slightly low blood sugar, actually, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Right, so beer number 3. I need to reach for the fridge.
So this is where my Christmas jumper will now start to make a bit more sense. So I've got my full-on Christmas special Tonk Ho 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 jumper.
Oh, that's a beauty.
So we did an advent calendar last year, and we did one this year as well, but last year, rather than just do core beer in the advent calendar, we gave all the cans a Christmas makeover. And one of them was Don Coco, and we did Tonk Ho Ho Ho. I really liked the branding we did on it, so I got the guys to make me a jumper this year. And the amount of requests we've had now for us to bring it out next year as one that someone can buy is crazy.
Just the words on the can just make me salivate. They make me hungry, weirdly, more than thirsty. But I think I'm going to be okay with drinking it instead.
So this is kind of one of the first specials we ever brewed as a brewery. We did it for the York Camera Beer Festival. So we did it as a cask beer, and in our mind straight away, as soon as we started the recipe, we knew we wanted to bring this out in keg and can at some point in the future, but we just weren't there as a brewery. We didn't have the technology to do it at that point in time. So it's quite nice to be able to do it now and to be able to get the beer further afield. So.
Yeah, so that was produced for September 2016. With it being our local beer festival, it was the first one we'd ever appeared at, and it won Beer of the Festival on its first appearance. And it's launched a series of beers, and Imperial Don Coco, the 7.5% version of this, at one point in time was the 3rd highest rated flavoured stout in the world on Rate Beer. We've then done barrel-aged versions. We were discussing some of those earlier. One of the iterations of that won the UK's Best Barrel-Aged Beer in the World Beer Awards a few years back. So, yeah, it's got quite the pedigree, this series of beers now.
But, just before we move on, sorry, we have had a super chat question from Tom Bascom. Have you ever got in trouble with any of your branding choices, name, or can design?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I don't think there's long enough left for us to explain how many times that has happened. We jokingly say that we're going to put our awards on one wall of our boardroom, and we're going to put all the cease and desist letters on the other wall. We have had that many.
So this beer in particular, even though we made the word up, so Don Coco is a combination of tonka and coconut, and it was a made-up word that we did to launch this beer. We tried to register the trademark, and Cloudy Bay Vineyards from New Zealand opposed to it because they have a wine called Te Koku, 3 separate words, TEKOKU,
which is apparently a geographical area of New Zealand. It's a bay, so they've named a wine after this beer. and they were concerned that people might confuse our coconut tonka, vanilla, and cacao stout with their Sauvignon Blanc.
So we had to spend a lot of money on legal fees to defend our position, but we eventually got our trademark. So, but it's very narrow. It's a trademark on dark beer in the UK. So it was sometimes we can't spend that much money to try and defend something when there's a massive company out there with infinite funds. So we figured that was enough for this beer, but there's been plenty out there that we've had to hold our hands up and apologise for. One of them, which was a nice friendly one, was you know the little computers, the Raspberry Pi. And so we did a beer called Raspberry Pi. So we were at an awards dinner a few years back, and it was the Design Effectiveness Award, and we won our branding company won an award for the branding they do for us, and we were sat on the table with the founder of Raspberry Pi. So it was really cool. We were sat talking to him, chatting about what they've been doing and everything. So we thought this is a nice, fun nod to these guys, and it was very obvious it was a beer, but we got a letter from them saying, this is obviously a registered trademark. Please don't ever use it again. It wasn't pay us money or anything like that. They were just, don't use it. It was quite a nice one.
That was a bit of a pinch yourself moment, because we're just sat there like, who are all these people? And then this guy's talking about when he was on Radio 2 this morning. Like, what the? Incredible. So
they're just a couple of them. We've got a few more.
In fact, we've just won a tender to sell our beer in Sweden. So in Sweden, the alcohol distribution is state controlled. So you have to tender. They have a panel who tastes your beer. If you win, you get rather a large contract because you're supplying the country at that point in time. And we've just got one beer there, which was called Reese's with a Spoon. And it's got a picture of Reese Witherspoon eating the Reese's chocolates with a spoon. So not our finest work as far as puns go, but we got a cease and desist.
It's got levels to it.
Yeah.
It has. So we got a cease and desist from, is it Hershey's, the company that owns that one?
Right.
But they were really pleasant about it. Like, really respect that. Don't do it again unless you want to pay us.
Yeah.
But
right.
So to be able to re-release that in Sweden, we're having to adapt the name. So now it will just be Reese Witherspoon. We can't reference Reese's.
And spelled like the name, not like the chocolate bar.
So what happens if Reese Witherspoon gets in touch?
Hopefully we'll provide her with some free beer and she'll be okay.
Oh, that's another one, actually. So we did Captain Strata recently.
So, yeah.
So like Captain
Scarlet.
Captain Scarlet, but Captain Strata being one of the modern US hops that we absolutely love, a bit like passion fruit.
So a poor pun, I agree, but
well, it was Strata and
the
Nectaron, the New Zealand hop we mentioned earlier, that was stone fruit. So it was Captain Strata and the Nectarons.
Like, is it Mr-Ons in?
Yeah. But they got in touch and said, "We think it's fantastic. Can we have some beer, please?"
And
so it's nice when it goes like that.
They were supposed to come up to site to have a look around in December, but we haven't been able to get a date working out yet. But yeah, my childhood watching the
Jerry Anderson Studios.
Exactly. And they're going to come up to see us. So that's pretty cool.
You just never know what kind of letter you're going to get.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Right. Well, we thought that during the drinking of this beer, we should have a brewery tour. Is that cool?
Yeah, we've got Pete stood up on the mezzanine with his gimbal, waiting to show you all around.
Pete up in the sky. So we're going to cut to Pete visually, but you guys audibly.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Easy for you to say.
Really, really not. And we're only halfway through the tasting. So
here we
let's
go.
go solo layout. Welcome, Pete.
It looks dirty, Pete. Go to the other angle, quick. So so the way you're looking at there is our grain storage facility and our canning line, along with some of our packaging tanks. So that's like the old equipment we moved from our original brewery site up to this new site 18 months ago when we moved up here.
Right, so what Pete is going to do now is we're going to kind of follow it logically as if you were brewing. So we have an external silo in which we would hold up to 32 tons of grain. Unfortunately, that's outside in the dark, so we can't show you that. So this is the conveyance system where the grain comes back into the building. You'll have to forgive all this clutter in front of it. We have a contractor working on some pipe work and insulating some pipe work at the minute and this is all of his equipment there. So we then go around, and there's a little hopper there. So anything that was not coming out of the silo to be milled would go through that hopper. That little motor there that goes through the floor, that goes down into a room that has a mill with 2 rollers in. So the grain is then crushed to our specification. It then comes back up this elevator, the one to the left, Pete, if you may. And then it gets deposited into one of those 2 things that are numbered 1 and 2. So
or 2 and 1.
Or 2 and 1 as they are. So they're grist cases. So we are lucky enough to have 2 brew houses here. We've got a 50 hex standard one, and we have one with an MLT, a mash slaughter tun, that is twice the size. So if you're going to have 2 brew houses, you need 2 grist cases. And those grist cases, if you just head back a second, Pete, those 2 grist cases are sat on load cells. So they're essentially sat on scales. So we just input into our computer, put 2 ton of crushed grain into number 2, and it will do that until it detects that there is 2 ton in there.
And those are the high-tech stairwells we've had built out of pallet wood.
And then that would be done the day before. We then come to brew, and then if you scope up, Pete, you would then see there is a conveyance system above it. Sorry, that's to deposit in. So there's an equivalent of that below them. And then there was an elevator to the left. Look back the other way, Pete. to your right.
You can see where.
Right.
It's all got a bit crystal maze suddenly.
Go left from there, Pete.
Left. So, left. Right, that there.
Yeah,
You'll see an elevator that comes up, and it goes across the 2 mash slaughter tons, and it drops the grain in there. And it gets combined with water on the way in, it hydrates, and it drops into one of those 2 mash slaughter tons. And Pete's now going to walk through our fermenting cellar, and we'll be able to look at those. So those mash slaughter tons we have, like I say, one is the standard size. The bigger one is the biggest size it could possibly be for transport on an English road without a police escort. So we totally maxed out the size of that because of the big beers that we like to make. So here we have our water system. So that's our cold water held at 4 degrees C. That is our hot water tank, which is held at 87 degrees C. They're actually not full at the minute because we're just having a Christmas close down. So they've been emptied to then be descaled. Directly below us, if you can see, it's hard to see, there is a vessel down there and a pump a little bit further on, Pete. And that's, that little tank down there to the middle of the right, there's a little silver tank down there. That at the minute is full of cacao nibs. That one there. And that's connected to a pump. And some beer has been taken out of one of those tanks down there, infused across the cacao nibs, and then put back into the tank. So that's Empress Don Coco having its chocolate infusion, cacao nib infusion. And if we pan back up, Pete, you'll see there is some coconut sat here, which is being left by the brewers ready for tomorrow, where they will open the tank at the top and they will pour the coconut in. So we used to do an infusion method similar to how we're doing the cacao nibs down there, but we've now got a centrifuge, a high-speed separator, which is able to spin the coconut back out of the beer. So we're doing it this way now. Unfortunately, it's led to larger losses, so we're probably going to go back to the infusion method.
So one of the things you guys might be wondering from earlier when we talked about the water tanks, there's a tank, a cold and a hot one, that it said CLT and HLT on the tanks. And we said it was a cold water tank and a hot water tank. In brewing, we refer to water that we're using to brew with as liquor. So once it's been treated, once we've removed the minerals or added back the minerals ready to brew, we refer to that liquid as liquor. So that's a hot liquor tank and a cold liquor tank. And it's different to water, which we use to clean the brewery with, whereas liquor is the liquid that we're ready to brew with.
And then we have some platforms here, which is kind of in a U-bend. And in the center to your right, as you're looking at it, they are 100 hectoliter or 10,000 liter vessels. And the ones that are on the outside of this U, which Pete's just focusing in on now, they're 5,000 or 50 hectoliter vessels. So we have 9 of those. We have 6 of the 10,000 hectoliter ones in the middle. And then exterior to the building, we have an additional 200 hectoliter, so 2 20,000 hectoliter vessels.
and the numbering on them, it says DPV 25. So DPV is dual purpose vessel, and the 25 doesn't mean it's our 25th tank. We use the numbering convention where the 1s refer to the 100 hectolitre tanks and the 2s refer to the 50 hectolitre tanks. So 21 is actually the first 50 hectolitre tank, and so on.
Oh, they thought we were really big then.
Yeah, we've got loads of tanks.
And then these ones that look slightly different are ones that we brought across from our original facility. And then the smaller, stouter ones down there are our packaging tanks. So to the right.
So, and then you're back onto the brewing platform.
And then on the right-hand side, we have 2 kettles. So because we have 2 brew houses, we need 2 kettles. If you're going to make 2 beers at once, we're going to need that. Have you paused, Pete, or have you frozen? No, you've run away.
Don't fall down the stairs.
And this kit was made completely custom to us. So it was designed around the beers that we make. And one of the things that we love to make is sours. So, Pete, can you see that big valve at the top that looks like it belongs in the National Railway Museum? We had those installed so we can seal off our kettles and make the environment in there anaerobic. And that's so we can inoculate the wort in there with lactobacillus to make kettle sours. Doing so takes your kettle out of action for sort of 24 to 48 hours. So in most breweries, that's undesirable because that's a period where you can't make other beer. But if you have 2 kettles, not such a worry, because we can carry on brewing with the other one while one is tied up for souring. And they both function as whirlpools as well. So if we were making one beer, a hoppy beer, we would be able to use one of the mash slaughter tuns to generate the sugary liquid. We would use one to boil the wort, and then we would cool it through our heat exchange, move it into the other one, spin it tangentially with the hops, and then the hops would fall into a nice cone in the bottom, and then we would be able to run off the clear beer from the side runoff port.
So that's our brewery in a nutshell. We could talk to you all day about it, and we can answer loads of questions if you want. But I'm sure you guys want to talk to Johnny and Brad again and find out more about the beers. Climb in, Pete. We'll help
Get
you
in there, Pete.
So
We'll
that's
get you out at the end.
Slaughter tons. And then finally coming back to us on...
I'm just conscious he's going to get our back again. That's not my good side.
And there we go. And there's a cleaning system there to the left, but that's not very sexy. Nobody wants to look at that. And then you can see our camera setup with lighting and everything. There we go.
Like the newsreaders. We are wearing trousers, though. We're not Winnie Pooh in it.
Well, that was a wonderful tour. We're straight onto Bradley's face. I've got to like that was massive, right? How much beer are you making every year? Hi, Pete. He's gone now.
He's gone, but he'll be back.
Hey.
So our ambition was to get to about 12,000 hectolitres this year, which is 1.2 million litres. Because of the much publicised challenges our industry has faced this year, I think we're going to be more around the sort of 10,000, 10,500 level. So just over 1 million litres, I think we'll achieve this year.
So leading into COVID, back in 2020, when we were in our original site in the city centre, we purposely stayed below 5,000 hectolitres annual production. And that's because if you go above, you pay more tax in the UK. And we strategically tried to stay at that level until we hoped that we could grow beyond it quickly. Because you can't just go from 5,000 hect to 7,000 hect, because what will happen is you'll end up with paying more tax and you won't get the benefits of it. So we had to grow relatively rapidly to justify the bigger site. So we were really pleased. We went from 5,000 hect in 2020 up to about 7,500 hect last year, up to about 10,000 hect this year. So growing steadily, and it makes it justifies the expansion and what we've done here. But the brew house that we just walked around is capable of brewing a hell of a lot more beer than that. We'd need to add more tanks. The little tank tour we went on didn't include the outside tanks, but we had more tanks and we can brew more beer here. So we've kind of tried to future-proof.
There's a great question from Andy, who himself was a home brewer before he started, and obviously has his amazing brewery. But he's asking, I've just completely hidden you guys, but did you ever envisage owning brewery like this? And did you ever intend to? Was that the ambition when you started?
No, absolutely not. We didn't have a vision beyond our little brewery in the city centre. We were taken aback right from the first point at which we launched when we got 3 noise complaints from our launch party. That many people turned up to see what we were doing. Not in our wildest dreams would we have possibly have expected to be sat in this kind of facility now, and certainly not 7 years in.
And to be honest, if I'm completely honest, I still don't really believe it. I don't think about it too much. We're very much forward facing. We just focus on the challenge ahead of us. If we took time and reflected on it, it's amazing what we've achieved. It's sometimes there's when you do take a chance to stop and look at it, it's awesome. But we don't do that very often. We should do it more. We should reflect and look at.
Like Wayne says, we don't operate with a rear view mirror, and it does tend to take someone else like Andy like that to point it out to us.
Yeah. So when someone you've got, because we're not just singing his praises because he's on the stream. We genuinely have so much time and respect for Andy. He's done such an amazing things. His beer's amazing. His brewery's awesome. And we had one of the best times we had this summer was going to Brew York finally. I'd say Reading, but it's not Reading.
Can I just say, because I know how much it'll annoy him, that he's the nicest man in beer.
One day he's going to pop and he's going to do something terrible just to be like, I don't want to.
I think there will be abuse incoming shortly.
That's we did this to spend time doing what we love and to spend time with people who are passionate like we are. And we've managed to find customers who appreciate what we do, who bought our beer. It's helped us grow to the stage we're at now. And we still like to try and do as much as we can. We're still very much hands-on people. We do lots and lots of different things still ourselves. And one of the things we try to do as much as possible is spend time with our customers and gather feedback from them, listen to them and try and learn from it to try and keep improving what we do. It's so important that we actually spend time with the customers, not just sit in an office and ignore what people are saying.
And at the end of the day, I think we forget as an industry, it's just beer. It's not complicated stuff that we're doing here. And I think we set out with a simple approach. We wanted to make beers that we wanted to drink. We wanted to make spaces in which we wanted to drink them and environments that people would enjoy. So we just hoped that other people would enjoy what we would want to drink, and they would want to drink in similar spaces to that which we would want to drink in, and thankfully that has proved to be true.
Yeah, exactly. And we appreciate everything that we've managed to achieve. We appreciate all the people who've helped us get to where we are. It's been and the team who've helped us achieve it as well, which we try to tell them as much as possible that how good they are and what they've done to help us get to the stage we are. But sometimes you need to do what we're doing now and reflect on it to then take the time to thank them. So if any of our team are joining us, and Pete obviously is, but thank you. You do such a good job for us. So we appreciate it.
Yeah.
We've had a super chat, kind of on the theme of you guys not expecting to come as far as you have. And are there any breweries that you're looking at particularly that you think will do really well next year?
Next year.
Well, I'll tell you one that I think will do really well if you haven't already heard of them. So Jack, who used to be one of our brewers, has a brewery called Tartarus, who specialised in imperial stouts and super strong beers. Very recently, they took over bought the old North brewing equipment and tap room. So I think they're going to have a big presence this year. I think they're going to do some really good stuff. They already have made some great beers. I think you're going to see a lot more of them because of the space they've got now and the chance you'll get to try their beers.
I think for me, I love sour beers and kind of more the traditional sour than the pastry sour that we kind of make. And I'm loving seeing what Pastry are doing. I think this year arguably was their breakthrough year, but I look forward to seeing what they do in the future as well.
We put them in our ones to watch in 2019, I think, and I think that the pandemic was not the time to launch the kind of brewery that they were doing. So I really hope, I'm really glad that they've come through that and done very well, and I hope that they're
lovely people as well.
It's one of the things that anyone who's a big fan of beer will probably see on social media at the moment. It's a really, really tough time to have a brewery. There's breweries going out of business pretty much at least one a day, which is scary time. So I certainly don't want to put a commentator's curse on.
I presume you mean one a week. It's not one a day, is it?
No, there's been like how many breweries? Does anyone know?
Well, Steve,
it's 100 in the hundreds.
Steve at Beer Nouveau has been tracking it, and I think last I saw it was 81 this year.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I think it's tracking near enough 2 a week. I think it's broadly where it's at.
It's just scary numbers, and there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of cost pressures on breweries. So it's really, really tough. We've been relatively fortunate in that with our expansion, when we moved into the site, we locked in our energy rates. We did lots of different things to try and protect hold our costs as well as we could. But lots of breweries who aren't in that position, and it doesn't take much. CO2 prices rocketing fourfold overnight could put you out of business.
Yeah, I mean, and there's sort of not a lot that any brewery can really do about that other than sort of cling on. I mean, price rises to the amount that cost rises are increasing just isn't feasible.
No, we can't just, and we shouldn't just pass the cost straight on, because ultimately alcohol's not a necessity, is it? You don't need to go. Well, arguably, you don't need to go out and drink, but
speak for yourself.
Yeah. So it's a luxury good. You can't expect people to pay through the roof for these things. We hope that people appreciate the quality ingredients we put into the products and pay for those things. But if our energy prices go up fourfold, it's hard to pass that cost on.
But we're trying to box as clever as we possibly can. We've moved our CO2 supply across to a green supply. So rather than it being a byproduct of the fertilizer industry, we have a supply now that comes from bacteria anaerobically digesting biomass.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised I got that in one sentence, actually. And then we are in talks to have solar panels put on all of our roofs here, which, even though we've got about 30,000 square feet of roof here, it's going to do, at best, 26% of our electrical requirements.
Wow.
It's bonkers. But it's 26%. We would be paying an inflated price for otherwise. So it still makes sense to do it.
And that's at the scale we are. People are engaging with us in these conversations because they would fund the solar panels because they'll get a kickback from it. When you're a smaller brewery, it's really hard to get people to engage in the conversation. Why would a business put a small number of solar panels on a small warehouse roof when they've got much bigger things to look at? So we can look at them, but smaller breweries can't. So we're fortunate at this stage that we can look at these options. But I don't want to be doom and gloom on a Christmas show, but these are the problems that the breweries are facing. So when you see new and upcoming breweries out there, and you want them to be around next year, buy their beer and support them, because it's really tough times. And someone just mentioned Mash Gang do amazing low strength beers. We've done a collab with them recently. Great beers. So if you see them out and about, buy them, because if you want them to be around next year, then they need support.
Yeah, I think recent times have been a huge eye-opener for the industry. To see someone of the size and kind of heritage of wild beer go, it kind of makes you realise, nobody's untouchable here. This can get anyone. So yeah, that's scary.
Not scary.
Anyway, that's just trying to be not doom and gloom.
Well, I mean, it's amazing to see that you guys have continued to make it work. There he goes. Continue to make it work and continue to grow, which, sadly for a lot of breweries that's not going to be possible. But for you guys, it's been wonderful to see. I had a question related to that, but maybe we'll wait for there to be two of you. John Miller asks, Brad, what's in your bottle? We saw you put powder in there.
You bloody didn't, John. There's no powder in there. Just pure cocaine. No, there's nothing. There's nothing in it. It's just water. John, I feel very accused now. What was I doing that made you think there's powder? Was it where I was sort of...
Well, it was when you put the powder in.
Was I doing this off screen and it kind of looked like I was sort of doing a Salt Bay kind of thing? I reckon that was
Salt Bay with cocaine.
Video.
Yeah, that was outrageous. He touched the World Cup trophy, didn't he? I didn't like that. I don't even like football, but...
Oh, Salt Bay with his...
Ridiculous.
Did you see, there was a video of Djokovic's, easy for me to say again, Djokovic, his off-court team were hiding them putting something in a liquid.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh.
Probably not cocaine, though. Not like Brad.
This is cheese. Not
Whatever it
hiding
was,
anything.
yeah, whatever it was, though, they were trying to hide what they were putting in. Why would you hide if it's not controversial?
Maybe it was a brand deal. It was a They have a brand deal with Lucozade, but it was Gatorade powder.
Maybe. Yeah.
Could be. I don't know why I'm being fair to John.
We went to a brewery didn't they use Gatorade powder in their beer, and it was like blue.
No, not Gatorade, Kool-Aid.
Hidden Springs.
Oh, yuck.
So we're going across to Florida next year in March to brew with Hidden Springs, and they were at the festival we went to in Finland, and they had the Gatorade beer on. It was really good. So
we drank it, and we went in. We were doing like a where to drink, so we were drinking in everywhere that anyone recommended. So we went into this place. I can't remember the name of it, but it was all 3D artwork outside, so you could put 3D glasses on. It would be anyway. We went in, and they gave us this blue raspberry beer, and we tasted it, and it tasted like raspberry sherbet. It was amazing. And we asked them, like, how are you making it? Is it real fruit, or is it puree, or is it flavorings, whatever it is? And they said, yeah, it's real fruit. We were like, wow, I've never had a beer taste like that with like pure whole real fruit. And then we did the video, and we were like, it's made with real fruit. And then afterwards, somebody sort of came up sheepishly and was like, it's actually Kool-Aid powder. Like, I don't think they expected us to film and mention it. So yeah, I guess thanks for being honest to them. Right, we need to move on to the next beer.
I just want to refute this. I am allowed to compete in professional athletics. My granddad was a greengrocer in Brixton and a Greco-Roman wrestling teacher. He taught people how to do Greco-Roman wrestling. So I've got like a wrestling heritage in my family. No. But it's something that's in your blood, I feel like I could throw down, Johnny.
You may feel like that, Bradley, but that's the cocaine.
It's not easy with the mince pie.
Right, we're on to... Oh, no, wait, I've picked up the wrong beer. Have I picked up the wrong beer? I forget where we are. We're on Dreams, right?
Well, I believe at this point, depending on when you purchase your pack, you might have one of two beers. You're either going to have Dreams
or Plum Cake.
Later on, you're going to have one called Plum Cake.
I've put the brackets after the Don Coco like an idiot. Yes, so we are moving on to Dreams of Brew York 2022. A quick reminder, you may have seen the super chats going on. You can enter a competition to win these amazing prizes. Well, 3 amazing prizes and 1 shit one. By doing a super chat, we'll answer your question straight away. You can also join our Patreon, which is a way of supporting us every single month. All of the content that we do is pretty much powered by our amazing Patreon supporters, and in return you get patches, which I mailed out this week. You get tote bags this year, was the Christmas gift for our bigger supporters.
I've got one in my hand.
I don't think I've got one. They're all gone.
The customers.
There we go.
No, I've got one.
I've got one.
Oh, for God's sake.
Look at this.
Well, I'll show you the other side.
What's in your tote bag, though, Johnny?
In this tote bag?
Yeah, you got anything good?
Nothing.
I've got Buddy Holly in mine.
I thought there's a record in there.
Yeah. It is a record bag, isn't it? Fundamentally. Got to put your records in it.
Put your records in it. So yes, you can get that if you join, and you get access to our amazing Discord, which has about 400 beer geeks being goddamn beer geeks all day, every day, and taking the piss out of how I pronounce most things. That seems to be what they've been up to today.
Can we get another look before we move on? Can we get another look at the halls tonight?
Wait. We've got a super chat, Bradley.
Oh, go on.
Brad needs a wrestling name. Any ideas?
I mean, I am the Brad.
I think we need something a bit more aggressive, don't we?
More aggressive.
I wouldn't be scared of fighting the Brad.
I'm a very non-aggressive person, though. But
so you'll be a wrestler that doesn't really wrestle?
Well, no, wrestling is not about strength. It's about, redirecting the energy, innit? So it's like Bruce Lee said, you can, fight a bigger opponent.
He wasn't a wrestler.
Was he not a wrestler? Are we not all wrestling, Johnny? Is it like one big wrestling match?
What about Brad the Impaler?
That's why you do what you do, because you absolutely
brew.
Mate, that is brilliant. I've got a friend, Owen, who's excellent at punnage as well. Better than Johnny, that's for sure. But Johnny's good. Johnny's good. Don't get me wrong. Owen's good though.
Don't make me get the awards out again, mate, because I will.
Bradley and Payne.
I will. I'll get all of them. There's quite a lot of them.
That's great.
But you'd be drinking out of them.
You can't even see them all.
Wow.
Right. Oh, I've knocked my camera now, so my it's all changed. Right. Next beer.
Well, let's go.
We will dig into the Brad wrestling names eventually. Why's Brad got a rabbit behind it? Was the rabbit there beforehand?
Yeah.
It was there. Okay, good. I thought my cocaine was kicking in. Right. So, Dreams of Brew York. Tell us about this one, guys.
Every year we do 4 Christmas beers. First time round, it was just Fairy Tale of Brew York. And then eventually, that's where he's been off camera for.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Very good.
This guy.
Where's your man?
Macho Man Randy Savage, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically, I can do a pretty good macho man. There we go. Look.
So we've actually done a beer called Mocker Man Randy Savage.
Nice.
Hold up the car. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's not bad. 1 second, Bradley, back up again. No, I want the figurine with you.
Does the wrestling figure do the bushwhacker move?
There it is. We've got it. Everyone relax. We've got it.
Aid for posterity. There you go. Take these off. These are too much style for anyone to take right now.
Possible. Anyway, 4 Christmas beers. Dreams of Brew York.
Yeah. So we do Fairy Tale, which is a stout coming in at 4.8. In the middle of the range, we do a sour at 6.5. It's always a pastry sour. It's almost always Christmas inspired. And then at the top end of the range, we do another milk stout, 9.8%, and it's double of the previous year's Fairy Tale. So this year's Dreams almost always has cranberry in, because cranberry is the fruit of the season. This one also has red currant, it's got apple, it's got cinnamon, it's got lactose, it's got maltodextrin. So yes, that dreaded L word once again. But I think we've got the balance really well in this. I think it has got that kind of Christmassy thing going on. It's got that kind of strudely thing going on with the kind of apple and cinnamon in there as well.
Strudel's the word.
Vanilla.
Oh, and vanilla. Yeah. Sorry. I kind of take it for given that all pastry stouts or sours have vanilla in these days.
Because that's something we get asked a lot. So what makes a beer a pastry sour as opposed to just a sour? And that's you're trying to balance out the sharpness and the tartness of a sour beer with the creaminess and the softness of vanilla and lactose. So you're taking something, fruit flavors, some tanginess, and some sharpness, and you're making it really enjoyable and a lot easier to drink by putting a bit of residual sweetness, a bit of vanilla in there. It kind of reminds you of desserts. It's kind of one of my favorite styles that we brew. It just doesn't agree with me that much because I get hella bad indigestion from pastry sours. But
hella bad.
Yeah, it's a price I'm willing to pay just to talk to you guys about these type of beers.
I love this style of beer. I think, I really love the classic sours. I'm a big collector of Belgian lambics. But I really like what these do as well. I think you can call these kind of like gateway sours. I think it would be fair to say that, where you've got that kind of sharp introductory sourness that appeals to anyone that really loves this kind of thing. But then the finish on it is much softer because of the use of vanilla and of lactose, so it doesn't kind of linger on the palate. So meaning you go back and you have that additional drink rather than being concerned about what your acid reflux might be doing.
And a bit of a candy floss in there for the good measure.
Mm.
I think we put this in our there you go. Bradley loves it.
Yes.
We put this in our Christmas beers of 2022, and what we loved about it was that balance of like there's almost tannins from the red currants. There's like huge sweetness coming from the other fruits. Huge acidity coming from the other fruits, and then lots of sweetness to balance it. Like it's a really nicely it's still big and it's bold, and you wouldn't drink huge amounts of it, but it is so exciting every sip that you take. It's just kind of magic.
One of the things where this beer came about from was so Lee mentioned Fairy Tale of Brew York. Obviously big pun, because, hence the song. And we then wanted to bring out more beers in the Christmas series, and we naturally brought out Nightmare, which is the double version, an imperial version of the previous year's Fairy Tale. And then because we had that beer in the kettle brewing and then in the fermented, we were like, well, we could barrel age some of this as well. But we didn't want to just bring out 3 different stouts every Christmas. We wanted to bring something else out. And I've got to be honest, a pale Christmas beer really doesn't do it for me. I've never really had a Christmas pale ale and thought, wow, that makes me think of Christmas, or I want to drink more of that. I love pale ales. I can drink them all year round, but it doesn't make me want to drink them at Christmas. Whereas this is fruity, it's Christmassy, you're getting the flavours, and it's quite a different style to just drinking a typical Christmas stout. So I think what we've done each year and trying to bring that Christmas flavour into a different style of beer is pretty cool, and it kind of acts as a bit of a palate cleanser as well if you want to work between styles.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a good counterpart to the others, so you can cleanse your palate between the entry-level stout and then the bigger stout.
I'm just seeing what everyone else is eating in their snacks. We've got loads more down there.
We thought this could work with the mince pie, and I think it did.
We've got Brad's supply on top of our mince pie.
I think.
Yes.
I think
just
Brad's
a quick note for those at home.
They do look good.
We've had some people say that they can't keep up with the beers. Totally appreciate that. At the end of this live show will go onto our YouTube channel so you can watch it back. So please don't push yourself. Don't drink too fast. Don't drink too much. I'm not finishing these beers, nor should you if you're alone. So just you can come back and watch these tastings anytime, and enjoy the wonderful tasting notes you're getting in a more responsible manner. So just bear that in mind.
Bring a friend along and drink along with 2 of you.
Yeah, just get your partner out of bed, your kids out of bed. Just bring them all in. Bradley, sorry, where Speculoos almond mince tarts? Do you see they didn't even have the balls to call that a mince pie?
But what? Right, what is Speculoos? That's lost on me.
It's a biscuit that you have with coffee.
Ah, I don't drink coffee. That would be why I don't know.
Like the branded one, the Lotus biscuit, or is that?
I think Lotus. Yeah, Lotus is a kind of. Lotus Biscoff is a kind of Speculoos.
It's massive as well, unless you've got really tiny hands. That looks like a very big pie or tart, whatever.
We were talking about this in the Christmas live show as well. We like a bite size, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to wait.
Can just all go in at once. You get more pastry to mince ratio.
That makes the difference. Absolutely. I like the ones where it's got the kind of lattice thing on top rather than the full cap for that very reason.
That's less pastry to mince ratio if it's lattice.
Oh, yeah. I've got it the wrong way around.
You like the full top.
No, I like there to be more mince, less pastry.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm all here for the pastry. Thank you, Vince UK.
I've been told you couldn't hear me. I've just realised somehow I was on mute. Sorry about that.
I thought you just had your mouth full.
What did we miss, Brad? What did you say?
I was just saying Speculoos is not. I don't think it's like a Lotus biscuit. It's far spicier. It's got all sorts of Christmassy spices going on. Whereas it's more like a Biscoff, isn't it? What you just said, a Lotus.
Right, we need another Google search.
Biscoff is a Lotus, Brad. They're the same thing.
Yeah, no, sorry, not Speculoos though. You said it's like Speculoos. I don't think it is.
I think it's the same thing.
They're more like caramelly. No, this is not very caramelly. This is like gingerbready. It's got ginger and sort of fiery, kind of Christmassy.
Well, that's because it's a mint pie.
No, I think it's from the
Speculoos. In this show, it's going to be Speculoos.
Dude, Speculoos sold as Biscoff in the United States and the United Kingdom. They are identical.
I'll take it back.
It's like Opal and Vauxhall, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Did you really mute yourself, or did somebody mute you?
I was like,
I don't think he's got the power to mute me, but maybe he has. He's got the God button. He can just sort of shut me up.
We're getting Speculoos is a poor man's version of Speculoos. You're going to love those pronunciations, Jasper. And is without spices. So what's a Speculoos?
I'm gonna say I feel like I've learned nothing from that.
If it clears it up, he then adds historically.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, what is speculas then?
Well, this I can tell you, this has got almonds in it,
Yeah, we can see them
sultanas,
on the top.
Bramley apple puree, and it is banging, and it tastes cinnamony as well. With this beer, it's an incredible match.
So here's the one for the audience dialing in. Are you almond or almond?
I think I said almond.
Some people, I call it almond as well, but some people call it almond.
I just had to say it out loud to myself to find out what I say. I say almond. There we go.
I thought almond would be a northern pronunciation.
That's Mark Almond, isn't it?
Yeah, I love one of my favorite songs
You mean
is
Mark
Soft
Almond?
Cell.
Yeah, Mark Almond.
Yeah. Huh?
Who used to live in York. Used to live in Haxby, a village that's about 2 miles that way.
There you go.
Back to the day.
There we go.
Do you know the song "Say Hello, Wave Goodbye"? I love that song. Soft
No,
Cell.
can you sing it? I don't know it.
Oh, there we go.
No, I'm not singing it, but it's beautiful.
It's basically spiced gingerbread. I think we just learned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, there's some filth in the comments tonight. I don't know whether it's Christmas or I mean, just come on.
Oh, come on.
Oh dear. Right. Moving swiftly on. So we got behind. I think because we got doom laden. So we're going to move on to the next beer. Sorry, actually, before we do, did I skip one of the replacement beers?
So Dreams, if you're unfortunate enough to be the 101st person to buy the box, well, not unfortunately, because it's a great beer. It's plum cake.
Tell us about plum cake.
So plum cake was a collaboration we did with a brewery called Funky Fluid from Poland. Really, really cool brewery. Do quite similar style beers to us, which is why we wanted to work with them. And plum cake was based on a Polish plum cake. It's a pastry sour, like Dreams of Brew York, but it was plum and what else was that one?
Vanilla and tonka, unusual for us, because plum pits have a substance in them that is like arsenic, but if used in the right proportion, it is kind of almond-like, in the same way that tonka is kind of almond-like. So they're very complementary flavors. So that's why we've used tonka in that particular beer. And the other kind of defining characteristic of that beer is we co-fermented a creek yeast alongside a lactobacillus. So you've got lactobacillus who's taking some of the sugar and it's creating lactic acid. And then you've got the creek yeast who's taking some of the sugar and it's creating alcohol. And it's also creating like really nice fruity esters that sit really nicely alongside the fruit as well. So we do that directly in fermenter rather than kettle souring. It's a little bit riskier, but lactobacillus is not very, very happy in the presence of hops. So all you have to do is to introduce a certain proportion of hops, and the alpha acids from the hops are going to kill the activity of the lactobacillus before it goes for packaging. We then have to be a little bit more stringent about the cleaning of the vessel that's been in, but it's relatively risk-free, and I really love the results that we get from that kind of co-fermentation. And one of my favourite UK sour producers, and one of Europe's favourite these days, is Vault City, and that's how they do their souring. They use co-fermentation of lactobacillus and creek yeast.
Did you see that comment?
BA bacillus, is it?
Could be stolen. Could be stolen. Or should I say, could be stolen.
Honestly, when we decided this year Fairy Tale was going to be stolen, I was coming out with all the terrible dad jokes.
The best one we had was, but because all the best ideas are stolen.
Yeah. So
we went with Fairy Tale of Brew York 2022. Sense prevailed.
Every year this beer is a 4.9% stout. Typically a milk stout, but one year we did a vegan-friendly version of it. But every year we try and think of a different flavour combination that we can think of Christmas to bring into this beer. So this year's beer of choice or flavour of choice was Stollen.
Maybe next year we can do Speculous. Now we know what it is.
Yeah, definitely. We should.
I would drink the hell out of a Lotus.
Everyone will be picking it up and they'll be like, "What the?" So yeah, it'll definitely be a cool one to do. So I didn't mention this on the when we were drinking the Don Coco earlier, but quite a lot of you, if you were drinking along back home, you might have noticed that there was pretty much zero head retention on the beer. It kind of went flat straight away. So when you pour it, the head on the pint kind of disappeared really, really quickly. On Don Coco in particular, you saw the coconut bags we had ready to pour into the vessel. The oil on coconut kills the head on the pint. So because we use real coconut in it, we get zero head retention, which is kind of a bad thing. But we think that the flavour the coconut brings to the beer compensates for the lack of head. So some people use fake flavouring for coconut. We don't really like what that does to a beer. You might get a great head on the beer, but it tastes weird. So with Don Coco, we've always used real coconut, and we think you get the best results of that at the sacrificing the head on the beer.
I always found it funny when we started operating our own bars and things. People would return a pint to the bar and say, it's like lost its head. It's like, I've just watched you eat the peanuts. it's the oil on your lips that's killed the head retention on that beer. It's nothing to do with the beer.
Until you made coconut beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've got a basket of Stollen as well to go with the beer, just to dip it in the sea.
Just before we dig into what Stollen is and the flavours we're getting, Andy Higginbottom has done a super chat. Thank you very much, Andy. And he asks, beer have you done or can... bit lost there. Have you done a Philly Sour beer or do you intend to?
We've done a couple of Philly Sours. I like what that does. Philly Sour, it's a different type of yeast strain that was discovered at Philadelphia University. And it has the ability to produce lactic acid as well as produce alcohol from a single yeast strain rather than having to combine yeast strains. So it's a very clever thing that it does. And it sets off by producing the acid first, it drops the pH, and then it kicks into the alcohol production mode. So it's very good. For me, it creates a much more delicate kind of sour character. So it would only work with certain fruits, for example. I think we used it with peach. So something where you've got a more delicate fruit character, it kind of works. If you were using something like, I know, a dark berry, it wouldn't work because it's going to stomp all over the character of it. So in its place, yeah, it's good. And it's nice to have these new tools in our arsenal. But yeah, we've not done one for a while. Maybe we should do one again in 2023.
If you haven't really followed much of us, or you don't know what beers we brought out for the audience, what do you think we called our Philly sour yeast beer? Not yeast.
I can't remember now.
Come on.
I know it had Philly in the name, but what was it?
What else would you?
It's always sunny in Philadelphia sort of vibes, something like that.
I wish we had.
What do we call it?
Philly Elliott. Philly Connolly.
Oh, that's good. That would have been a good one. No, we went really. I think it was Philly Harmonic or something like that.
No, yeah, we called it the Philly Harmonic Orchestra, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
I like it. Brad often compares a good beer to an orchestra, don't you, Brad?
It's one of my favourite comparisons. Well, whatever, it just comes to me.
The same thing multiple times.
It's a terrible analogy. I've got a short-term memory loss. So.
When you're talking about combining the different characteristics of different hops, I've described that as like playing the orchestra. There's not many hops where you'll be able to use one of them on their own. You need to use that, and that presents that spike. That presents that spike. That presents
your woodwind, your strings,
all of them, you get the beautiful
high notes, low notes, belly trombones, all of that.
Yeah. So I think that works very well as an analogy, bro.
Thank you.
So this beer, out of the Christmas beers, we do bring this beer out in cask. So all the other Christmas beers are keg and can only. Apart from this one, we do quite a few batches of cask on this. Just because the ABV, the style, the strength works really, really well. In my opinion, it's a better beer on cask because anything sub 5% dark on cask, you get a lot of flavour, you get a lot of body, and it just kind of works really well. And because we're northern, we like a sparkler on there to bring out all the aroma of this specific style as well.
So I'm just looking at the ingredients on the can to remind myself what we put in this because
there's lots.
Sorry?
A lot.
There's lots in there.
Lots, yeah. because we now export some of our beer, we now have to produce our Christmas beers in August, which seems absolutely ridiculous. Because if they're going to go to export wholesale, they need them to be shipped to them in September. Whereas in the UK, if you're going to wholesale, it would have to be October. So the more we've done export, the more that kind of has crept forward. So we're now brewing our Christmas beers at the height of summer, which seems truly, truly bonkers. So it means that 5 months on from that, we've kind of forgotten what we put in this.
Yeah, and then balance that out with the cask version of this beer only goes into the UK. So we end up having to brew the cask version a couple of months after we brewed the keg version. So it's ready and still fresh for Christmas.
But, Stollen, did we cover what that is, even if we've done that?
No, just in case people don't know.
So Stollen is the second German dessert we've had referenced today then. So it's a German cake that they make for the festive season, which is flavoured with things like allspice and cinnamon and so forth, usually some kind of dried fruit. So for that, we've used lemon zest and orange zest directly into the kettle. We put some tonka in because, once again, tonka does that almond thing, and it's kind of a Brew York thing to do, to put tonka in almost everything, along with the lactose. What else have we got in there? I think that's about everything, isn't it? Vanilla.
Allspice, you mentioned that.
I did allspice, yeah.
Cardamom.
Oh, and cardamom, of course. There we go. So doing that many spices in one thing, it's kind of hard to strike the balance, but I think we did an okay job.
I think it's really delicious. It's really complex. It also feels drier than, say, like the Don Coco did at this sort of strength, which for me makes it a bit more kind of drinkable. But I don't know whether that's accurate or not.
I think it's maybe the savoury nature of all the other ingredients that's maybe kind of making it feel that way.
Yeah, sort of perceived dryness. A couple of people are asking about whether there's a difference between your cask recipe and your keg/can, or is it the same beer going in?
For this beer, it's the same. Ordinarily, we would do different recipes for cask and for keg. Because for cask, you need to use different types of cereal grain to encourage the head formation, like Wayne was just talking about. Whereas keg, that would not be such a critical thing.
One of the key things we learned this year from doing collaborations, we brewed with Thornbridge. We did a really cool beer called Thorny Eagle, which was a combination of our West Coast Big Eagle and their Jaipur. And the guys were telling us about how different their yeast strains are for their keg and can versus their cask. And they thankfully kindly shared their yeast strain for our keg and can version. So they gave us their Jaipur yeast, well, their house yeast, which they use for Jaipur. And it was a really, really good yeast strain. It had great results. But one of the things they told us that they did is they used a completely different cask-only yeast strain, which was proprietary, and they couldn't share that one with us. But they gave me some hints and tips of what we should use if we wanted to replicate it. So we did, and we sourced some, we had some yeast made up for us by a lab in Sunderland, and we use that for pretty much all our cask beer now. And it is really different. You can definitely taste the difference between the keg version and the cask version.
Well, we might as well say what it is. We use Timothy Taylor landlord yeast in most of our cask beer these days.
Right.
Or a close relative of.
Although we were sat at a meal with Andy, the head brewer of Timmy Taylor's, and he says it is absolutely not his yeast. But we are using something that claims to be that yeast anyway, and it seems to be doing a good job.
A long past descendant of it, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Right. Well, Jen asked if anyone else is pissed, and I think, despite the fact that I just mispronounced despite, we need to get a shifty on. We're cruising into the section of Ask Us Anything. So finish up your drinks. We're going to move on to the final beer. We're going to ramp it up from a mere 4.9 right up to
12
on Sunday.
12.
Nearly triple. So our final beer of the night, is a 12% Imperial Milk Stout. Tell us why and how.
So this one was brewed with Nerd Brewing. So So we, I think as Wayne's mentioned a couple of times, have got to do a couple of Scandinavian beer festivals this year. We've ended up pouring alongside a brewery which the overarching brewery is called Molecules, but it's 3 different brewers doing 3 different kind of concepts of beer under 3 different brands that have come together under one brewery. So you've got the Elm 11 brand, which does sours, and we did a sour with them. You've got Chad Brewing, which does the lagers and the pales. And then you've got Nerd Brewing, who does the stouts. And Nerd Brewing have developed a reputation as certainly one of Europe's best stout producers, if not one of the world's best stout producers. So with Hannah's from Nerd, we came up with the recipe for this rum sundae. I forget exactly how we struck on the idea of the rum sundae, but it turns out that I think basically the rum and raisin ice cream is a bigger thing in Sweden as it is over here. So we both understood the reference there. And then basically what we've done is we've taken Hannah's approach to the construction of a grain recipe and produced it here. And he had some interesting concepts. So ordinarily, if you are making a beer bigger, you keep the bits that are contributing the roastiness, the carameliness, at a similar kind of level to the smaller beer, and you elevate the bit that's going to create more sugar. So you don't elevate the kind of the roasted barley, the carafa, the caramels, because the more of that tends to lead to it being overly astringent. Imagine like putting too many coffee beans into making your coffee, like that kind of thing. But his approach was, no, ignore that, double the roast things, double the caramel things, and we did that, and we brought it up and up and up. And then the other thing we did on his recommendation was, this is the first ever dark beer that we fermented with a creek yeast, or crike yeast. I don't think anybody knows how to pronounce that truly. But you know which one I mean. So it's the first time we've used a yeast that you can basically abuse and ferment at a temperature 35 degrees C. But he said if you take that yeast and you bring the fermentation down to around 20, you'll get some beautiful character from it. It'll be a really clean, well-performing yeast for producing dark beer. So, yeah, we largely took Hannah's steel on the construct of this. And then we have a friend who has a brewery in Scarborough called North Riding, magnificent producer of cask beer. And he does, I think it's an annual release, which is a rum and raisin stout. And he sources his rum and raisin flavouring from an ice cream producer. So I got the contact details for the ice cream producer, and I've sourced the same stuff that they make the ice cream with to create this.
So yeah, unlike a lot of the beers we've been drinking tonight, where we've used lots of actual fruits and adjuncts in it, this is a lactose and vanilla stout with an ice cream flavour. A lot of people, especially if you go back a few years, wouldn't have ever admitted to things like this. So some of the best or most recognised stouts in the world or country are flavoured stouts. They've used fake flavourings to replicate nuts or to do things. I'm not going to mention which ones I'm thinking of.
Well, I think nuts is the classic example, because nuts are naturally an allergen. So do we want to be chucking nuts around in our brewery and then risking killing someone because maybe some of that carries over into the next beer? No, I think that's a risky thing to do. So for nuts in particular, you think of all the classic examples of the peanut butter beer. They've never had a peanut anywhere near them. Most of them are made with peanuts. Yeah, they've never had a peanut. Anyway, so yeah, they've never had a peanut anywhere near them. So yeah, this is made with flavorings, and I don't think it is the kind of stigmatized thing it once was. I think sometimes you use the thing that best replicates the flavor, and we wouldn't use flavorings in everything, but to do certain things is the best option.
And our marketing Pete has paired this with Ritter Sports rum and raisin hazelnut.
Ram that flavour home with a sledgehammer, eh, Pete?
Brad's brought out the amazing board, and I cut away. Sorry,
it's all right. I mean, you said it's got the ice cream thing going on. I'd have this as is it called an affogato when you put the ice cream lump on top?
Yeah,
I'd have like some beautiful like proper vanilla ice cream float in this.
That kind of thing.
Wow. It's incredible. My beer of the night, along with Dreams. This is
Thank you.
I think that might be 3 times you've raised the amazing paddleboard tonight. That's good.
Any amazing.
Board's been busy.
Yeah, there was, like Lee said, the guys from Nerd do some amazing things with stouts. One of the crazy things they do is they do their boil. So when they basically introduce the malt
Make them guess. How long do you think they boil for?
So typically, when we boil for standard beer, when we go through the boil, 60 minutes.
Standard beer, 60 minutes. For a stout, maybe up to 4 hours. How long do you think Nerd boil theirs for?
Let's open it to the floor. Let's see who gets close.
So we'll talk about some other bits and we'll see what the audience think in the meantime. But
We've
yeah,
got
lots
a super
of
chat in the meantime. If Dark Mild was the beer of 22, was it? Was Dark Mild the beer of 2022? I think I missed that. Yeah. What is the beer of 2023 going to be?
Cold IPA.
Cold
please,
IPA.
Please.
Cold IPA.
Cold IPA, you reckon?
Yeah.
I hope so, but I don't know.
If not that, the return of the West Coast, please.
We said that maybe this year would see a return, and we saw some return. I'm trying to think. So we've got our video every year. In January we do our what's going to be big in the next year. I'm trying to think what our tips were. Ours were a bit more. I mean, obviously IPA of some description, but we think malt's going to have a good year, don't we, Brad?
Yeah, it was all about malts. It was about like local sort of ingredients. It was all that kind of stuff, wasn't it? Sort of
starting to treat barley varieties like we treat hop varieties.
If you go to America,
we'll start with the breweries and then expand.
You guys have been to America plenty of times, so you'll see it. You'll go out to a really cool American brewery that we all, or any American brewery we rate about in the UK or rave about, and they've got Fawcett's malt in there that they've paid a fortune to import from Castleford all the way across the States, and then we're here using any malt we can get our hands on because the malt in the UK is so good. We don't need to pay the premium to use Fawcett's. We can use Crisp or Muntons or anyone because it's so good in this country.
But in the US, they now have the craft maltster. There are smaller independent businesses doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
In the UK, we've not had the luxury of that. There's about 4 people you were able to buy from. But that is changing because there are now more people doing that kind of thing. And even the big guys, like our supplier is Crisp, they're doing smaller scale like maltings or smaller scale kilning. So that we used like toasted oats they did last year that give this kind of weird popcorn flavor to a beer. So use that selectively because that can be known as not flavor in beer. So they're doing some interesting things down that road. But I don't think we've got the access to that kind of stuff that the American market has as yet.
Not yet. No.
I don't think you guys will probably be aware, but the audience might not. But malt pricing is going up quite a lot next year. A lot, pretty much everything's going up in costs. The malt's going up about 35%, so it's a huge spike because of
38%.
38%. So because of poor harvests, because of all sorts of different challenges. So the price of malt's going to go through the roof. So you want to get your bang for your buck, don't you? If you're spending more money on malt, let's showcase it as much as possible and show off how good malt they're getting.
Yeah.
Make the beers, make the malt sing for its money.
Yeah. Well, one way to make a malt sing is a long boil. So we've got 2.5 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 26 hours, 24 hours, 6 hours, and then he's gone the wrong way. He's gone for 25 minutes.
Well, it was a good shout. It was a bit of a wild card guess.
So pop your 26-hour one up. You are still 14 hours short.
Oh my God. Nearly 2 days.
So 40 hours they boil for.
Energy costs obviously aren't a thing for those guys.
They've got a lot of solar panels.
Yeah.
So whereas we keep coming back to this L word, lactose, whereas we might use lactose to give big residual sweetness, they are boiling and boiling and boiling, and then that's making their sugars kind of meld and become long chain sugars. So they're making their wort unfermentable. They're doing lots of other things by boiling for that long period of time, but they're making it more and more unfermentable. So they're going to make it so it's got a big amount of residual sweetness without having to use things like lactose.
So for us, that's a possibility. So when we did the tour earlier, you saw that we have 2 kettles. So we could boil for 40 hours and still brew our regular beers at the same time. The biggest reluctance to do that right now is the energy cost of boiling a beer for that long.
Well, the energy cost, and I wouldn't want to walk away and hope it's okay by the time I come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Someone would have to sleep.
The walkway next to the kettle looks very comfortable. Just sleep there for 2 nights.
A couple of lactose bags on there as
I bet coconut's really comfortable.
You just cuddle the kettle and you've got the warmth as well from to get through the night. Just interesting to see a completely different approach and see what amazing results they're getting from it. So learning what we can from doing a collaboration like that is great, and I'm glad you guys appreciate this beer as much as we do, because a lot's to be said from people wonder sometimes why breweries do collaborations. Is it just a marketing exercise? Is it a gimmick or anything like that? No, it genuinely isn't. One of the reasons we do it is because typically most breweries we meet are great people and we love to hang out with them. But usually on almost every brew we do, we walk away and we learn something really interesting that we haven't even thought of. And it doesn't matter what scale brewery we're working with, there's always something you'll walk away with and you're like, why didn't I think of that?
Oh, yeah. It can be the simplest of things. I walked away from a collab recently, realizing that there are such things as reusable cable ties. Yeah. So you can reopen them and reuse them.
Oh my gosh.
They're going to be called Yorkshire cable ties.
You can actually reuse any cable tie if you stick a little
Just try not to cut your finger while you're doing it with a Stanley knife.
If you can get a tiny blade in there, you could. But this one actually has a little kind of connection where you just nip it up like that, and it allows you to pull it back out. It's like, well, that's cheap. Why aren't they all like that?
Come for the beer chat. Stay for the dangerous tips on reusing your cable ties.
Exactly. And cable ties.
So it can be something as simple as that, or it could be something as expensive as, I really like your centrifuge. How much was that? 100 grand. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Get me away from that.
Right. So we're very nearly out of time. I'm aware that Brad has a hard stop. So it's time for our Ask Us Anything section. This tends to get very hectic. So please use the super chat if you really want to get it answered. But we're now opening Ask Us Anytime. You can ask me and Brad something. You can ask the guys from Brew York anything, but you have to ask the Brew York people one first, because I desperately need a wee. So Bradley, if you could take charge of the comments for one section, I will be right back.
Fire your comments in now, guys.
This is rather nice.
Don't be shy.
Come on, any comment? We've had this, but we've already drunk that.
Yeah, Jack. We in the last drink. It was nice.
It was nice. It was bloody brilliant. Ooh. Thoughts on the new sours that are like smoothies, modern sours?
So personally, so this is breweries like Vault City in particular do some really cool ones. So we brewed a beer with them. I'm looking at the pump clip on the desk in front of me for our birthday in April. It was called Juice. It was 8% mango smoothie IPA. It was as thick as a innocent smoothie. It was great. It was a nightmare to package. It was a nightmare for the landlords to dispense, but the beer tasted amazing. So I love them. I think they're absolutely great. They're dangerous because you can't really taste the strength of them because they are that fruit forward. But yeah, there's a time and a place. They're great beers, but they do come with problems.
I think if there's anything that promotes the question, when is a beer not a beer, or what are the boundaries of beers, it's that one, because that you're really pushing the limits. Legally, you can only get 49% of your sugars in a beer from non-cereal grains to be able to call it a beer. And that's what these smoothies do. You'll hear the odd brewery talk about their 50-50 beers. Basically, that's what they're talking about, where almost half of the sugar has come from non-cereal grains, so pushing the absolute limits. I really like them, but I do get the idea that is it still a beer?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like them, but they are great. And excuse me, I was eating the chocolate. Especially when you're like we do a lot. We go to beer festivals for 2 or 3 days in a row, and we can't help but socialise, talk, chat, and drink beer. Sometimes you want a bit of a break, and these type of beers are great for that, like refreshing change from a more standard beer.
Is it like with those beers? Is there a danger of them exploding, sort of in packaging? Because
not if we've done our job correctly.
Yeah.
But yes,
so
it's always
or...
Yeah. The risk with fruited beer in particular is that it's a lot of fruit, therefore it's a lot of sugar. Some of it might potentially be still unfermented at packaging stage. And the real risk with fruit is some of it would be locked within a cell. So if you've not used something like a pectinase to explode that cell and release the sugar that might be contained within the cell, if that cell then later on pops and releases that sugar, and you've still got some yeast present, it ferments that sugar, it creates extra carbon dioxide, and it makes your can swell and at worst pop. So the only way to truly do this kind of thing safely would be to pasteurize it. But obviously people have negative thoughts about pasteurization. I would quite like a pasteurizer. We just don't have the spare £100,000 it would cost us.
Yeah. So the negativity, people think because of pasteurized beers, and what was the other thing? Filtered and pasteurized beers are a bad thing because of what multinational breweries have done to that reputation. Pasteurization isn't necessarily a bad thing for certain styles, and in particular, a lot of the styles we make, we'd love that safety backup safety net of being able to flash pasteurize some of our products. Unfortunately, like Lee said, it's very, very expensive.
Yeah, and the key word there is flash pasteurize. You need to elevate a beer to 72 degrees for in excess of 15 seconds. That's all it needs to kill off the bacteria that might potentially cause re-fermentation. And the technology's moved on, so you can do that now. The concern with pasteurization is if you expose your hop character in particular to a long-term exposure to high temperature, it's just going to kill the flavor in the beer. But if you can just do it for the minimum amount of time possible to kill off the bacteria and safeguard, particularly the beers that you're using high amounts of fruit in, then for me it makes a lot of sense. I'd love to have one. I just don't have a 100-gram check to wave at one.
So I saw a question flash on there from Andy at Elusive saying what's the beer we're most proud of in the last 6 years. Obviously Red Dancer, which is our collab with Elusive. But outside of that, which is, honestly, if you guys haven't tried it, it was an awesome beer. It was a red IPA. And we did it with Andy, and we did it with
Stephen Martin from the Beer O'Clock Show, which is now defunct. They've gone on and done other things.
So really, really cool beer. And what we tend to find is if there's a beer that we love personally, it doesn't sell commercially. So red IPAs, black IPAs, anything hoppy and malty that we absolutely love tends to sell poorly. So I'd love to bring that beer back, and I'd love people to buy it and try it, but it's always on that reluctance list. But outside of that beer, probably for me, Imperial Don Coco.
That's the one I'm going towards, yeah.
So that's our 7.5% version of Don Coco. It's middle ground. The balance is really, really good between the body, the flavour, the strength to be able to drink more than one of them and everything else. It's just a really, really nice beer for me. And we did a nitro version of it this year, which is effing awesome, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, if you take everything that he said there and then imagine it being stupidly thick and creamy because of the nitrogenation, that is epically good.
Sounds good. We've had a super chat. Merry Beermas, where can one get your beers in the EU? Any shots at shipping to the EU?
I've seen the Kronas there, so you can get our beer in Denmark, but not very often. Hopefully you're close enough to Sweden where you can just jump on a train across, and we have quite a lot of beer in Sweden. We just got a listing for Reese's
with a spoon.
Or
Reese with a spoon, as it's
in the Monopoly over there. Denmark, we've never really sold that much beer into Denmark, unfortunately. And elsewhere in Europe, Finland, Norway.
Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark.
France and Germany, but not very often in Italy.
France have a thing about the lining of the can, which makes it difficult to get the beer into there. A little bit into Spain. Holland, a bit there.
Cool. Well, I mean, it's clearly available. You just got to find the right supplier. We're going to go into quick fire mode. So one sentence replies only, and we'll get through some of these questions. Ben asks, favorite film? One each. Go.
Easy. Aliens.
Jaws.
Great. Paul, favorite beer name from another brewery this year?
Oh, wow.
That's not a quick one, but I can't think of one.
I can't either.
We'll come back to it. It's good. What's everybody drinking with their Christmas dinner? I'm having Saison Dupont, as always.
I'm I'm actually hoping that our tap room in Oswaldwick doesn't sell much cask beer on Christmas Eve, and I'm going to come into the brewery and I'm going to fill a 5-litre mini keg with whatever casks left over and go and drink that for Christmas Day.
So fate will decide.
Now I will be drinking a Lebanese wine called Chateau Massa.
Oh, normally you're the Colonel guy, aren't you? You normally have a box of Colonel.
Well, I've left it too late. Usually I would get Colonel, but the dark beers. I love everything they do, but I really love their dark beer. So usually I would get a box of dark Colonel in for the Christmas period.
So I thought of the name that the Mash Gang one, Shoff. The Shoff.
Oh, there you go, the Shoff.
Shot.
There you go. Yeah.
Bradley, what are you drinking at Christmas dinner?
Well, now I've had this for the second time in not that long. I think I'm going to be getting some of this. Can I still buy Dreams, or is that sold out?
Sold out months ago, mate. We did well to be able to get enough to do this.
Well, I'm gonna go on a wild goose chase to get some Dreams. That's what I'm gonna do.
I don't even think Pete's got any of his reserve stash.
Oh no, that went a long time ago.
I've got one left from the shoot we did. You want to pop round?
Nice.
Andy Tobin, how'd you get a beer in a supermarket?
Hard work. So the beer we started with earlier, Juice Forsyth, is a Morrison's beer. It originated in Morrison's because they came to us and asked us if we could brew a beer that we used to do called Ex-Para, 6.5% tropical IPA, but they wanted it at a supermarket price point, so we had to bring the strength down. We had to tweak the recipe slightly to make it work. And obviously, in doing so, it's now become our biggest selling beer. So, an interesting one. But we had a we worked really hard this year. We've got listed in pretty much every major supermarket, and it's through hard work, persistence, and finding the right people who know when the listings come up, to know the right people to speak to, and who have the relationship with the buyers to get the back and forth going. That they say, we need a beer to be X pound per case. Can you do that with that beer? Sometimes we'll walk away and say, no, it's not possible. Sometimes we're like, yeah, we could probably make that work.
Yeah, credit where credit's due. Sometimes to do well in business, it's about acknowledging your weaknesses and finding the people that have strengths in your area of weakness. So if we had to go out and seek financing for expansion, not our strength, we got someone else in to help us to do that. When it comes to retail consultancy, trying to engage supermarkets, trying to work out when they're doing their reviews, what they're looking for, we brought in a specialist to be able to assist us with that.
Yeah,
and he's done a great job.
So not really one sentence answers, but it is tough.
Sorry, this is the quick fire round, isn't it?
It was all commas in between.
All right, the answer, short answer, pay someone else. There we go.
Any plans on using CO2 recapture?
Not right now. So we've just spent a lot of money getting a new external tank in to be able to pay this company to buy our renewable CO2. The cost per kilogram.
Short answers. Not right now, but yes, in the future.
Cost per kilogram of CO2 recapture is the same as what we pay now. So there's no savings.
Right.
This is tricky. Bradley, are we going to make bags for people?
Yeah. We can make more of those bags. What are you saying? If you're not a Patreon, can you buy a bag?
Yeah, not yet, but we do.
Yeah.
We eventually at events and stuff. Hopefully,
we're gonna get some ordered, but hopefully we'll have some different designs as well.
Yeah. Literally today we booked flights to Munich, so we are going to be going on the hunt of a real version of the Reinheitsgebot to learn the myth from the truth from the myth.
We follow those principles. Can we come with you?
I think
you might have misread something in the Reinheitsgebot somewhere along the line.
We can just go on across and offend every German you meet.
Yeah, we'll be like, we're here to learn about the Reinheitsgebot. Oh, by the way, this is our friends Lee and Wayne, who brew exclusively with lactose and Don Coco.
And food. All the other things you're not allowed to play with.
Josh asked when we see fellas in the US. I don't know whether you mean us or Brew York, but us this year, probably early summer, we'll be coming over. Do you guys export to the US at all?
We don't export there, but we are going across in March to brew with Hidden Springs to Florida. And
I forget the exact dates, but if you look at when Tampa Beer Week is, that's when we're there.
There you go. Thanks so much, Emma. A very Merry Christmas to you, and you're very welcome for the great content.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. Yeah.
Where was I? I've lost it. Oh, I'm back. I found it. Here we go. Why did we leave the EU? You know what? We're not going to delve into that one. What's your beer guilty pleasure? Shandy's for me.
I don't know if it's really a guilty pleasure or if it's the frowned upon thing, but I absolutely love Goose Island, Bourbon County.
God help me too.
It is still one of the best beers in the world. So they might be owned by AB InBev, but it's one of the best beers in the world.
I'd probably have to go Guinness because it's the massive macro thing that I still adore.
So we've just got a listed in York City Stadium, so we can get beer from the stadium now. And we went in. Our beer was finally on, and the lady came in the room because we were hosting customers and said, "What beer would you like?" And Lee said, "I'll have a Guinness." I was like, "How hard have we've been working to get our beer in the stadium? You're all drinking Guinness."
I drink our beer all the time.
Oh dear. Best beer and snack combo. Whoa, big question.
It used to be for me Jalapeno Schneiders. Used to absolutely love them with a hoppy IPA. Haven't had it in a while.
Bourbon aged stout with Stilton.
Blue cheese, yeah. Blue cheese and stout.
All Val pickled onion monster munch.
Nice.
Speak the truth, Bradley. Speak the truth.
I would like to try that actually.
It's got to be
super fucking good. You can see me and Brad do it on the channel. Lose our minds. It is super great.
What? But how old's the Orval?
We use quite a young one.
Quite
6
young
to
one.
9 months, I think it was.
Don't dip Monster Munch in the
So not
age.
massive Brett characters, still kind of.
No, you want a bit of that kind of sherbet orange character left.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's where you want it.
You got a super chat then, didn't you, from Dark Dungeon?
Yes, yeah. He kept pace with the beers. Wibble.
Dark
What a great
Danigan.
night.
That's your second super chat.
Thank you,
Thank you,
It
Dark
might be,
Danigan.
yeah. Thank you very much indeed.
Wow.
Right, well, it looks like we're almost out of questions. We've got one more here. Brad, going to Margate in the summer, went a couple of years ago, any new post bars worth visiting? Before Brad answers that, where is Brad? He's that way. No, he's that way. I cannot work that out in my brain. I'm going to quickly dig through and pick a winner of the some good prices and one shit one.
It's a one winner for everything.
Oh, yeah. We're not giving them out separately. Hey, look at the depth of focus on that. That looks sexy.
And the tote bag.
I can't even see the prize at the bottom. Is that camouflage?
No. I mean, it is camouflage, but it is.
We all want a 6-pack, right?
It's quality stitching, as we established in our video. That's pretty good. I'm not going to model it because life's too short. But yes, I'm going to go through and pick a winner at random while Brad answers the question as to where to drink in Margate.
You got to go to Fez, which is my favourite / second favourite pub in the world. It's a micro pub. It's not new. It's one of the sort of oldest micro pubs in Margate. Go to Little Swift, which is about 3 doors down. Also not new, but very, very excellent. There's nothing new. I don't know how often you've been there, but there's nothing that new that I would recommend. I always hit the same places when I'm there because they're brilliant. There's a new thing called what's it called? Margate Leisure Centre, where you can do axe throwing, and they've got a game which I've never seen before. But apparently, it's a Bavarian game where it's a tree trunk, and you've got a nail in it, and you're trying to hit it with the small side of a hammer. So you can do that. I don't know what this game is. I've never played it. But I went in there quite pissed one night, and they'd stopped serving. But I wanted to have a go on the little hammer thing, but they told me to go away. But apparently, that's fun. So they didn't act. I'm actually embellishing. They didn't tell me to go away, but they said they'd stopped serving. So I was like, all right, I'm out of here then. See you later. I'll be back for your little mini hammer game. But yeah, that looked fun. I don't know. I'm there for New Year's. If anyone's in town, I'll be walking along the beach and probably hitting Margate Arts Club for some techno music and whatever. Some fun times. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Fez is my favourite pub in the universe, other than
nightclub in
Deptford. There you go.
Am I right in thinking on Only Fools and Horses, was it Margate they always went to on holiday? Have I totally made that up?
Sounds like it.
That sounds about right, but I'm not an aficionado on that, so I wouldn't know. There's a bar. Actually, I think it might have shut. There was a bar in Peckham called Peckham Springs, which I'm guessing was named after the episode where they start a spring water company and they're just using tap water.
Tap water,
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why the connection then.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. I don't know about the Margate thing. I'm not sure.
Right, so I've picked at random our winner. They are about to flash up on screen. Our winner tonight of 3 good prizes and a shit one is Johnny909.
Wait.
I read that before he said Wade and Leon won. I was like, yeah!
Not quite.
If you're still watching, wait, how are we going to do this, Bradley? We haven't thought this bit through. Please, at the end of this video, you can comment in the comments section. No, wait.
With your full name and address. Email, probably that.
Email us.
This is a minefield.
craftbeerboys@gmail.com.
onlyfans.com.
Email us and we will get these wonderful gifts out to you as soon as I'm back from my Christmas break. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom, check. We haven't got anything else that we need to address. Well, no, we do have one last important question. Bradley.
Oh, I mean, Emma, you're breaking my heart here. Like, every year I want to do it. And then I realize I'm an idiot and I don't know how to do anything like that. We've had people in the comments saying they'll step up and help organize it, but then no one's ever sent us an email to follow up and say, I'm a tour bus operator. I'm willing to take it on. I'd love to do it. I think it'd be great. Johnny's terrified by the sort of public liability of it all.
You need like a little minibus driver's license, and you could be the driver as well.
No, I don't think he wants to do the driving. How can he do the drinking and the driving?
Exactly. I'm not doing no driving. But I think it's a beautiful thing. I still have ambitions to do that. I hope we're going to go to Belgium this year because I haven't done a lot of Belgian content. Johnny's been out there a lot because he used to work for a Belgian beer distributor. But it seems like a sort of fair. Hello. Hello. Great stuff. What are you mixing there, Johnny?
Do you know what? It's by process of elimination.
He's got plum cake. He's got plum cake on one side, and I can't see.
Oh God, I've gone and got rum sundae in there.
Dude, there's a hangover right there, Johnny.
He's brave.
This was a mistake. Yes, Brad's bus tour. This is still no more stable than it was on the day.
Oh, is that surely that rum sundae is too thick to get through the pipe?
It could be. Do you know what I did find though? You know, I was talking about the nubbins hurting my head.
Yeah.
I found that we were supposed to insert little pads that would have made it
to make your head bigger.
Dig into my brain.
Nice.
Yeah.
Out of it.
Would have been nice if they put those on, wouldn't it? Really.
So we've still got a few minutes left, haven't we? Or a minute left at least. So you guys must have must be close to 1 million subscribers now, are you?
We wish. 146,000.
Wow.
We're at about 1,000 on ours. So can we plug our own YouTube channel on your YouTube channel?
Go on, give us your elevator pitch.
Who likes Brew York Beer? Come and follow us on @Brew York Beer on YouTube.
Nah.
So yeah, we do a live tasting every month. We try to put some more content on there. We promise it'll be really fun. So come and join us.
Absolutely. So go subscribe to the Brew York channel. We'll put a link in the description box below after this, and the video does indeed go live straight after this on YouTube. Once YouTube has checked that we haven't said anything controversial, such as multiple references to cocaine.
Yeah.
then maybe it won't go straight away. But yes.
Yeah. There wasn't much swearing either. Normally we swear quite a lot, so we were quite muted, which is good for us.
I think I only.
We kept it pretty family friendly, haven't we? Really, I've
Exactly, Rum Sunday, family friendly. It's just your normal life.
Just I realised I didn't actually put the pipes into the beers. So I sat here going, I feel like there should be.
Doesn't taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
The thing is, it does not start siphoning. So once it's going, it doesn't stop.
Oh yeah, it doesn't stop unless I turn the clip on, but the clip doesn't really work.
Nice. Okay.
I feel like you need some adult supervision in there.
There is no adult supervision available at my address. Right, I'm all set. Thank you so much for joining us, Lee and Wayne. It's been an absolute pleasure, an education.
Thank you.
We're all going to walk away changed people in some positive ways.
I think I like cold IPA, Johnny.
Yeah.
Do you? There we go.
Maybe I like this one. This is the first one I've ever had.
I'm pretty sure sometime in 2023, we're going up to Brew York to brew a beer that has no lactose in called Lack of Toes.
Yes. You are welcome anytime, guys.
So maybe it's going to be a cold IPA.
And one of our achievements of the year was getting Johnny to acknowledge that he liked lactose in an IPA.
There you go. You're welcome. You can cut that down into a bit of social on or a short on your YouTube channel.
That we can.
And use that away. Right. So yeah, thank you so much, Lee and Wayne. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that we get to come and see you and make a video with you guys soon on the main channel. Thank you everyone in the comments for all of the wonderful fun that we've been having there, and also everyone for supporting us throughout the year. This has been the best craft beer channel year we've ever had. We had 3.4 million views this year, which is just freaking insane.
Awesome, guys.
Oh, and we won some cups that we can drink from now. Yeah, it's been an amazing year for us, and that comes down to you guys, particularly our Patreons who have supported everything that we've done. So I hope that next year, as amazing as this one, I hope that the world sorts its shit out and is a little bit better than it has been. And I hope that you all continue to support ethical small businesses such as Brew York, who really need your help more than ever, and who will continue to do wonderful things, I'm sure, with their brewing. Guys, cheers.
Happy Christmas. Cheers, guys.
Merry fucking Christmas.
Love and beer.
Love and beer. Cheers.